Hello. I forgot to open VC Face. That's the whole thing I need to open. It's almost open. Hi. Hello. So, recently, by recently, I mean a couple hours ago, I changed a bunch of my audio settings. True and fun fact. How do I sound? What do we think? Is it noticeable? Is it not noticeable? Is it good? Is it yucky? You can tell? Is that good or bad? Does it sound better? Does it sound worse? Or is it just like different but like the same, like it is different but it's not better or worse? Like what are we feeling? What is the mood? What is the mood? What is the vibe? It's different, but I'm too tired. Okay, fair enough. Well, maybe someone will know. Oh. Whoa, okay. Today I'm holding you guys hostage. Sort of. I mean, you don't have to stay. You can technically leave anytime, but today react ending because I want to real bad. How do I go incognito? Incognito. I can't find the button. You don't need to know the things in my YouTube suggestions, you know? You know? React Indie streamer, yeah. Yeah. I'm looking. There's no incognito button. Where? Where is it? I guess if I open like maybe incognito Firefox, that would work. Except I can't find the button for that either. No. Oh no. Am I crazy? Where is it? Look at this. We can be here for a minute. I'm not physically here. Lied. I lied. I'm here. There I am. Void moment. We're gonna hang out in the void for a second. Like a little second. But where is... Someone help me out. Where? There's not a incognito button. I cannot see it anywhere. Private window. Okay. YouTube. Oh, what's in light mode? I don't like that very much. Dark. Okay. Okay. I did it. So, then, I'm going to have to go here, and then we go here, here. Okay, and then I'm gonna click on this random video so I can crop it properly. Wait, full screen, I don't want to, oh. Okay. And then this. Ooh. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Do I have an audio source for Firefox? Probably need one of those, don't I? I'm so prepared today. Oh my god. What's Yo. My chest kind of hurts. A little bit. Okay. I don't even know what video I clicked on. I hope that doesn't like completely sway this. I want to watch. The first thing I see on incognito, like incognito YouTube, it's how much pee is in your pool. Wonderful. Wonderful. What do I even... Do we want to watch how much pee's in your pool? I don't really have anything super planned out today. You know, we're just gonna see what happens. I'm going to delete that and then... Oh. Hold on. I'm doing a lot of things at once. Bear with me, as they say. Okay. Because I want to dual stream on TikTok as well. And I'm trying to get that sorted out in a way that looks nice. Oh boy. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are you guys looking at something that you should not be looking at right now? You are. Don't look at that. Hi. Look at me. Don't look at shoes. Look at me. You don't need to see that anime. That was default shoes character. Oh my god. Go. Great. Okay. Bear with me. Cuttlefish at light mode. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Yes. Here. This sounds good. Okay. Okay. We are live on TikTok as well as Twitch. I believe. White. Great. Perfect. I'm so good at everything. Excellent. Okay, and then I go back here and get stuff. Oh, what did I just click on? This. Come over here. Great. I need to look at... what do we want to watch? You know what I've been watching a lot lately? I've been watching a lot of 90 Day Fiancé. Oh my god. What is a good video? We're like, listen, 90 Day Fiancé, I don't care. It's entertaining. Oh, I know a classic, How It's Made. I just said How It's Mad. Lava Lamp. McDonald's food. We're watching... Hold on, no music. You do not have music. Am I live on TikTok, actually? I am. How It's Mad. What do we want to know how it's made of? M&M's, car tires, ice cream sandwiches. I love sandwiches. Are you cookies? Rubber bowl. Actually, I'm kind of interested in this one. Oh my god. Ad block. I don't have ad block on this private menu. How do they make enemies? Don't worry about it. I need ad block. Oh god. I do have ad block. There we go. Oh shit. Oh. It started. Okay. Are we ready for balls? I think we are. Let's watch. Here we are. I can't see anything? Yeah, because I only just switched it over. It's kind of loud, I think.
A lot happens when an inflated rubber ball hits the ground. The rubber compresses and quickly snaps back to its round shape. That snapping back makes the ball bounce.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, the air inside the ball acts as a tightly coiled spring, increasing the rebound.
How are you doing on
ball
volume?
Falls to the ground, it bounces back and players catch it on the rebound. This type of ball is at the heart of many games, from basketball to soccer to volleyball.
It's all the same kind of ball?
At the core is an inflated rubber bladder. Making it starts with a sheet of natural rubber. The factory worker folds it in a specific configuration. He places a die on top and activates a press to force it through the layers, which cuts out the shape. He now has the bladder of a sports ball.
Oh, this blows up like a balloon.
Around the hole in the bladder and inserts a plug.
Oh.
Another worker inflates the rubber bladder as she places it in a spherical chamber. It heats and cures the rubber for 5 minutes at a temperature of 284 degrees Fahrenheit. The rubber bladder spins on a revolving cylinder, causing
I think you could call it a ball at this point. Oh.
The threads twist around the bladder and form a layer that both strengthens it and keeps it round.
What is the point of the strings?
The material that will form the exterior of the ball is made using colored synthetic rubber, natural rubber, magnesium carbonate, and mineral oil. Once it cures, a worker rolls it into thick sheets and slices it to a specific width. He folds it several times. This blue rubber will be used for volleyballs. The folded rubber now travels between a series of rollers. They flatten it and press it extremely thin, and it becomes both lightweight and formable. An automated blade slices the rubber into shorter pieces.
What is this part for?
A metal pattern cutter will now be used to cut the rubber into strips, which will fit together to form the outside of the ball. These particular strips are for a basketball. The worker places the pattern on several pieces of rubber. A press forces the sharp-edged pattern through the rubber to cut out fish-shaped strips that are designed to fit around the round bladder.
Basketball.
She lines the two halves of a bonding chamber with the strips. She inserts the bladder.
Why is it shaped like that?
Reinflates it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
She closes the bonding chamber and activates it. Inside,
can they do that to my brain?
Cause the strips to stick to the bladder. To make a medicine ball, which is used for exercising,
I've never heard of a medicine ball.
Cutter is used. The forming process is the same.
Wait, I think I have.
Has a unique visual impact.
That like a volleyball?
From that of the basketball.
Kinda. Yeah, that looks like a volleyball. That looks like a volleyball.
Station,
that's a volleyball.
The worker applies the brand name to the outer skin in 2 places.
The brand is basketball.
Helps the decals stick to the rubber.
Glue.
This
okay.
mold will now transfer a pattern onto the rubber ball.
Is there a reason for the pattern? Does it like make it for good for gripping?
And pumps more air into
Today
the
we are watching the YouTube videos to answer the TikTok chat.
The mold applies heat and pressure to emboss the pattern onto the rubber.
That's cool.
The lettering has penetrated the rubber.
Oh.
And the worker peels off the decal plastic. Another worker replenishes the air that's been lost.
Smack with a hammer?
Make the ball completely full and round.
It's for grip.
The ball
that makes
is now
sense.
ready to receive its stripes.
Oh, the
The
stripes.
worker paints black rubber into grooves that were formed during embossing.
Yeah, I
This
remember
rubber
when those
quickly
grooves happened.
cures to become part of the ball. Another worker inserts a fill valve into the hole. Then
You're gonna fill it
mechanical
again?
fists squeeze the ball to deflate it.
What?
This
Why?
prepares it for packaging.
Oh.
With the valve inside, it can be easily reinflated by the customer.
They don't sell balls like that, though.
Plastic and ships it to
you
the
go
retailer.
to like a toy store and they sell basketballs as is.
Making this rubber basketball has only taken a couple of hours.
Oh, only a couple
it should
hours.
Be able to take a lot of knocks and bounce right back.
But they don't come like that. When you go to the store, they're inflated. Why did they do that? Oh, uh-oh. We're watching footballs now. It autoplayed. I forgot to turn autoplay off. I don't want to watch football. What else should we watch? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm gonna, like, look real quick to see if I can, like, find... Oh, boy. Where's the window? There. Rename this window. I don't hate football. It's just, we just watched how balls are made. First box. Window. Like, we just watched it. I can't... The process is gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing. Hello, cat. Welcome in. Umbrella made of water. What? What are we... Like, if you guys got suggestions, we can totally do suggestions. I'm just looking at... Do you think there's Pop Tropica speedruns? Let's watch a Pop Tropica speedrun. Pop Tropica speedrun. We're watching Pop Tropica speedruns. I don't care. What are we... What's a good... This... Whoa! Look at this. 49 seconds. Pop Tropica speedrun. 77 subscribers on this channel. How? Yeah, they're like going to the ones, okay. And then you keep going. Okay, you're in the ruins, and then you want to jump. And then you go to the bay. There's only one split. What does that mean? I don't know what split means. Oh, and then he jumps into the air? Oh. Okay. Wait, it's almost... Where are you going? It's almost 49 seconds. What? How? What? 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 What do you mean? Oh, don't autoplay. Don't autoplay. It's another Pop Tropica speedrun, but I don't want autoplay on. How do I turn it? I can't find the autoplay button. Where is it? I can't find it. There's autoplay. I don't want autoplay on. Hearing issue? No, I don't have a hearing issue. I just don't understand. You just run, and that's how it's done? I don't have a hearing issue. Don't have a hearing issue. I'm looking. What do we want to watch? What do we want to watch? Let's watch an entire 10-hour-long documentary. Army of Crabs. People left at this house until they went inside. Let's watch this. What is this house? It's loading. It's loading. Free video. I don't I have ad blocker on it. It's not working. There's many house. Oh, I like that.
Literature, music, paintings, and architecture are the most celebrated art forms. While homes are designed to provide shelter and keep us warm, some architects blow our minds with unbelievable designs. From the house made from a receptacle.
Do you guys see that? Go back. Oh my god, this is 26 minutes long. We're not gonna watch this whole thing.
To provide shelter and keep us warm, some architects blow our
Look at
minds
him
with
right there.
designs. From the
Dude is grooving. He is default dancing. He's emoting. Oh my god. He is living his best life.
house made from a receptacle to the narrowest
What's a
home
receptacle?
ever. Here are the 20 most unusual houses in the world. Number 20, Hang Nga Guest House, Vietnam. This house in Vietnam is one of the most creative buildings on the planet, thanks to a very creative Vietnamese architect and impressionist. The architect
Thank you for the Gibby Fox fun. Welcome in, by the way.
Own, so she began construction on this very special house in 1990. She started from scratch, and then she went bankrupt. And afterwards, banks actually refused to lend her money. Seeing there was no way to raise the funds, she had an idea. If she sold tickets for tourists to visit the house, she would make so much money from it, and she was right on time with that thought. The house resembles a tree with uneven windows and tunnel-shaped stairways. Its interior and exterior are created and decorated with twisting organic forms. The hollow tree extends in many directions and rises above the sky. Walking along the hallway of the house exposes you to an unusual experience. Aside from the 10 themed rooms and tiger rooms, there's also an ant, kangaroo, and eagle room.
I want to live in an ant room.
Structure to find out what takes place there. While the house is technically a hotel, it is today regarded as a museum of dreams, and every visitor has a unique interpretation of their experience when they visit. Number 19, Dar al-Hajar.
That's pretty cool.
Imam's Rock Palace. Perched on a rock pinnacle in the famous Wadi Dar Valley, Dar al-Hajar is also known as the Imam's Rock Palace. It's an iconic symbol of Yemen, whose picture you can find in magazines, bills, water bottles, postcards, and more. This structure is attractive because it represents typical Yemeni architecture. It grows out of the rocks where it's constructed and has the characteristic paintings of its edges and windows. It stands alone in an oasis of green and quiet. And many years ago, Yemen didn't have a president or a king, but was governed by an imam. When the imam died in 1904, his son then took over the rulership, and this palace would be built in the 1930s to be his summer residence. It was later restored for visitors. Tourists can now buy tickets to gain entrance to the 5-story building that features many rooms and stairs that will take you around in circles. It boasts a kitchen,
I want to go in circles,
and meeting rooms for highly placed persons who were visiting the imam. There is no modern refrigeration, but there is a system to cool water in the earthenware jars, and you can also move around in the building to admire Yemen's stunning architecture. Number 18, Elefante Art House, Cornville, Arizona. Michael Kahn and his wife Lita built the Elefante Art House beginning in 1979.
I like glass.
The sculptural village in Cornville, Arizona welcomes thousands of visitors on a yearly basis. The structure has the basic amenities of an ordinary building, like running water, electricity, and a central heating system, and it also has an area that resembles living quarters dubbed the Hippodrome.
That looks like an old 90s fantasy movie.
Wall to ceiling. Michael and his wife did not plan the design of the building, but it developed organically as they made progress with construction. Therefore, you would expect to see a lot of unusual stuff. The building has a trunk-like entrance built from rocks and irregularly
it reminds me a lot of like the Labyrinth.
An elephant-like appearance. The walls are constructed from rebar and pipes.
I don't think I see the elephant part, but yeah.
Rock, wood, glass, and pottery shards. The complex covers 3 acres and is managed by Elefante Limited, a non-profit organization. Number 17, Icelandic Turf Houses, Iceland. The level of development in Iceland today makes it impossible for one to believe that 30% of the country was once covered in trees. Birch was dominant back then, and Icelanders used it to construct their homes. They soon used up all of the trees for construction, and seeing that they needed to build more homes for their families, they then thought outside the box.
What does that mean?
Turf roofs were already in use in Norway, where the settlers had come from, so they thought that it was a good idea. Turf offered premium insulation more than stone and wood, and it was easier to come by. Additional wood was added only to doors and doorways. You can also find turf houses in Greenland, Scotland, Ireland, Norway, and the Faroe Islands, although most are abandoned and covered by grass. There are indications that these structures may be declared a World Heritage Site soon. Number 16, Karet House, Warsaw, Poland. Central Warsaw is crammed for space.
This is just
so developers make do with what they have. They turn horizontal spaces into vertical space by building tall skyscrapers, and while this is normal in the city, the Karet House took everyone off balance. It's now known as the skinniest house in the world. The house is wedged inside of a 4-foot crevice called a cushion of air between two buildings. The Karet House is 30 feet tall, but only 28 inches wide at its narrowest point and 4 feet wide at the widest. With only 46 square feet of floor space, this house fits a bathroom, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a 2-beverage refrigerator. The first
rent is probably $1 billion.
Leads to the second. However, you need a ladder from the second floor to the third. Because this house is so minuscule, there's no room for electrical and sewage applications.
Do you just poop on the floor? Where do you poop? There's no sewage. Do you have to go into one of the nearby buildings? That can't be right. Legally, houses have to have sewage, I'm sure. Surely. They can't just not have a toilet.
It gets its electricity from 2 buildings that it's sandwiched in between, and as for sewage, the house uses an innovative, customized design that's not used in the city. In 2012, the architect's narrow masterpiece would be classified as an art installation since it does not meet Polish housing codes, but it still serves as a residence today. Number 15, the Mobile Aquatic Pod, Exbury, England. This aquatic pod may resemble something from a low-budget science fiction film, but it costs a whopping 40,000 British pounds. It serves as Stephen Turner's home and workspace. The giant floating egg is registered as a boat and floats up and down with the tide. It's equally designed to have a minimal environmental impact. Stephen hopes to highlight climate change while living in the 40-foot self-sustaining structure. Architects Wendy Berry and Phil Smith were saddled with bringing Turner's values to life. They showed George Clark, another architect, the miniature plastic prototype, showing how both halves would be joined. Each egg half is made of wooden skins with a membrane to make it watertight. The rear is wider to allow for storage cupboards and
this egg has a fat ass.
8 kilometers of cedar to complete the structure because getting wood to bend around a sphere template was a tedious process. Stephen's job requires him to spend long periods of time in
this egg has a fat ass.
This pod space enables him to have somewhere to live while he studies the creek. It took builders 6 months to complete the space, and even after Stephen Turner's tenancy ended in June of 2014, the egg has moved on to serve other purposes.
Oh, shucks.
Number 14.
Okay, I can't. We watched 6 houses. We should watch TikToks. I'm gonna look up just a TikTok compilation. TikTok compilation 2023 funny. Please be good TikToks and not ones that make me sad. Because sometimes there's TikToks compilations that are not actually funny. TikToks are impossible not to laugh at. All right. What is that? What is that? Please load. Refresh it. I like this monkey. It's not a monkey. That's a bee, but
I hate people who work at Cracker Barrel. Shh, I work at Cracker Barrel. Here is a biscuit.
Want to hear the completely feral thing that my daughter did last night? She ripped a hole in the toilet paper and said, "This is so that it will clean everything but your butthole."
I don't think it works like that.
And then she laughed.
Please stop making brownies from a box.
No. I'm sorry, but it's easy. And I'm stupid.
That's where that audio comes from?
Maybe diarrhea, depression, suicide thoughts, hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids.
What the fuck am I doing? What the fuck are you doing commenting on my shit, calling me Abraham Lincoln and shit? That shit ain't funny, dog. I just happened to be doing and pouring a pavement slab. That was it.
That guy does look like Lincoln. Where's the audio on this one?
Where's my leg? Does anybody see my leg?
Hey, bitch, you want a pixie stick? My mom says those turn you into a whore. Probably. The guy at Dairy Queen wanted to know if my 2 dogs wanted free ice cream cones. They didn't know that I'm not a dog!
I have a very serious question. How are you guys walking around with these water bottles and acting casual about it? Like, I'm sorry, this is the size of my body, almost. Like, oh, hi, meet me, and my toddler.
These are not good. These are terrible. I mean, they're okay. TikToks are the peak of Gen Z humor. I'm a Gen Z. Maybe these are actually funny. We'll see what this one's like.
Guys, look what I found. A single arch McDonald's. A single arch.
Punch it. Punch it. Punch it. I love Minecraft. Oh. Oh no.
Hey man, can I have some water? Yeah, it should be in the fridge. All right, thanks.
You put your syrup in the fridge?
Yeah, I mean, what's the problem?
You want to see what causes allergies? Look at that. That's all pollen. Look at all that pollen. Ah! My hands are dusted with pollen and my phone is covered in it. Oh my god. 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 Drive. 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 Drive.
What's happening? What is happening right now?
They're selling drugs in there.
Oh god. The blood moon rises once again. Something about Link. Yeah, sure. Or Dalaman. Yeah, sure.
That is a huge plane.
It's a huge plane.
Did you just break up pussy? Did you just break up pussy? I don't know about y'all, but this ship.
Yo, look at these clouds. These clouds are so pretty.
What's that pretty?
You gotta get a little closer. Yeah, let me just get a ladder.
This is delightful.
Bird snacks are really good,
gas
though.
Station, gonna fill up my Camry. I don't really know how I'm gonna get this in the tank.
Damn, you fine as hell. Hey, yo, think I can get your nut?
Are you serious, my brother?
I don't understand North Carolina memes.
Who in the hell left this open in my car? Because this shit ain't working. Beep boop bop. No, that ain't the fucking radio. That's my fucking mouth.
People pop.
Who in the hell left this open in my car? Because this shit ain't working. Beep boop bop. No, that ain't the fucking radio. That's my fucking mouth.
I really like that. I like Bee Boo Bob. And that's the only video on this whole compilation that matters. Oh, that's so good.
Hey, boy, you a fool, boy. Hey, show how it work, huh? Show how it work. Show how it work, huh?
That is actually Tears of the Kingdom. Like, no joke, that's Tears of the Kingdom right there.
And she has a big butt, and I have no butt, so we decided to osmosis each other, like give each other what we don't have. So osmosis, and then we turn and.
And you are going southbound. Are you running from the cops?
You think your shit's bad, bro? My boy ended up in jail.
This is a 2-in-1 impression of people socializing right after the pandemic and men right after the Me Too movement.
Do we hug? I never know anymore.
Which of the following would be considered a natural manner of death? Being murdered on a train, succumbing to cancer while on a train, overdosing while on a train, jumping in front of a...
This is
well, wait, what is the answer then? Does the train play an important role? Does the fact that it is all of them have to do with a train, which is generally not considered natural, would they all be incorrect? Is that incorrect? I think it is. I think that's how that works.
Today, look at this ginormous box of pizza. Okay,
it was supposed to be a joke. I see.
Hey, yo, I can't wait to use
Wait.
Pizza. Okay, let's open it.
Yeah, true. Listen, that just happens with all of everything. It happens. Look, something about this. The cheese, there's just like 3 pepperonis that are just like loosely beautiful.
Hey, yo, I can't wait to use the new student all-gender restroom. Hey, yo, what is this? What is this?
Hey, they can't read that.
Going home.
What are you gonna do at your home?
I'll be having a beer.
How many?
Enough to make me happy.
Turn
your head.
Turn your head. This way.
Hey, this is a Kate on you.
Oh no.
Now that's why I don't use Windows.
A chick spill a secret I bet you didn't know. Our
I love
kitchen
Chick-fil-A,
sends the
guys.
food to the window using a conveyor belt to make things move
I've
faster.
seen this before. That's crazy.
Peaches down in Georgia got my weed in California. I'm not joking you, John. I know the lyrics to songs.
Oh, you do not.
Oh, yes, I do.
If you're not cheating on your girlfriend, do not look in the camera. Do not look. Well, okay. Okay. All right.
People who wear Apple Watches, do you take them off during sex?
So I hooked up with a dude once who kept his on the whole entire time. And when I got home, he sent me a workout summary and showed me how many calories he burned and how high his heart rate was.
No.
Wake up, Gromit. Come on, Gromit. We've got to hide the body. There's no cheese and crackers in prison, Gromit.
Okay. I don't know if I still am. I assume that I'm not. But when I was a kid, I was a huge sleep talker and sleepwalker. To the point where we had to get a security alarm installed in the house because people, like, my family was concerned that I would sleepwalk out of the house. So they had to install security alarm to keep me in the house. Hello, Decoy, welcome in. But I was like huge, like as a child, just huge sleepwalker, huge sleep talker. And like, one of my mom's favorite stories is that one time she came to check up on me while I was sleeping, and I like sat completely up while asleep, and I looked at her and I went, "What are you looking at?" And she was like, I'm just making sure that you're okay. And I looked at her and I went, "What are you doing? Studying me?" That's all there is. That's all there is to the story, but my mom brings it up all the time. Just, what are you doing? Studying me. I grew out of it, apparently, according to Cuddle, so... Cuddle says I snore. I do not snore. I do not. Not true. My family does, but I don't. But yeah, sleepwalking is such a thing. I think a lot of people grow out of it. Like, it happens when you're a kid and then it stops happening. That's what I've heard. Oh, hell yeah. You sleep touch, I do that.
You like that?
They do act like
window?
that.
But it's just not, like, smashing.
I've been trying to shut this door, and it's just not shutting. I've been trying as hard as I can.
That donut?
I'm passing the phone to someone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that killed me.
I'm passing
get
the
it.
phone to
I get
someone
it.
who almost died of alcoholism and now can't even drink one beer at all without like having a bunch of issues. Okay.
Look, rain, shine, or hurricane or flood, we grill on Saturdays.
Guys, we should definitely have pancakes for breakfast tomorrow.
Tomorrow? You mean today?
No balls of any size.
Jacob, get out of the pool.
Nah, homie playing bootleg Temple Run on the TV.
Hell yeah.
My man's is playing Temple Jog.
I would hope Jim's play music.
First and foremost, love and respect to my brother for getting out there, grinding and getting after it. But run that back and tell me that that sweat stain does not look like a Renaissance painting of Jesus.
Wait.
Out of the pool.
Nah, homie playing Temple Run on the TV. My man's is playing Temple Jog.
Wait. I see it. You got his face, and then he has like his arms right here. If you look, this is the most replayed video, part of the whole video. Amazing. That's totally Jesus on his shirt.
First and foremost, love and respect to my brother for getting out there, grinding and getting after it. But run that back and tell me that that sweat stain does not look like a Renaissance painting of Jesus.
I literally have the worst headache. I need to take something.
So true.
240 milligrams.
Oh no. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Anyone else just lie when people ask them about their hair? I was like, yeah, I shaved it off. This shit's not shaved. The other day I had a wig on. It was blonde. And I was like, that's my real hair. It's not. But who's gonna catch me?
Guys,
I get it.
Been riding my tail, talking about you need to go faster, you need to go faster. It's like, I'm going as fast as I can. He's like, well, it doesn't seem like it. He's like, it seems like you're just letting the competition blow right by you. I'm like, I'm not letting the competition blow right by me, all right? I'd know if the competition was blowing right by me. I have a big window right here. I'd know if the competition was blowing past me. I don't know why he's riding me.
No, men are weird. Stop talking to women you don't know.
Don't know how to tell you this, but every single relationship started with two people that didn't know each other, started talking and shit. You're a dumbass. Hey, oh, hey, oh no.
What was that?
Right there. See the pregnancy test? When you work at Steak and Shake, they check before every shift.
And what's that?
That's crazy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Isn't it crazy how you can Eat an everything seed bagel and still feel nothing. Ooh.
Did you have
He
me
kind
on
of looked like a
accident?
clown in the most possible kindest
Yes
way.
or no? No. You planned me? Put it on the Bible. Fucking disgrace.
Jump out the bins with the top, let it go right.
Oh my god.
What?
I'm rich.
Why?
They're caramel candies. Where'd you find them? In my pocket. Oh my god, because I'm off all this, but now I gotta eat them because you found them. I found them.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Oh my god, I can't wait to eat these. I'm gonna open one right now.
That's literally me.
Yeah, I'm good. Goodbye, children.
I have a question.
I get it. I don't like those candies, but I love the energy.
Water towers.
Thank.
Water.
I love Hank Green.
I hate people who work at the bank.
I own the bank.
Are those hamburger buns?
What are you doing?
I had a long day, bro. I just need something to take the edge off, okay?
No.
You gotta be kidding me.
You wanna hit it?
Alright, so someone told me that the anime girl body pillow that I bought isn't a girl.
He's quite a sweet fellow, really. I think I'll call him Bob. Moments later, Bob is dismembered.
Oh no, Bob.
Man, listen, you want to get fucked up? You really want to get fucked up? I'm going to tell you something now. Have one of these. I'm telling you, if you drink one of these, you will be fucked up. This is what I drink.
You want to sell it? I don't drink, Abdul.
Listen, please, buy this. I'm giving you the whole case for $8.
Every year, I ask you to sign my yearbook. You go, no, I'm waiting till senior year. It's senior year, you're signing my goddamn yearbook. No,
I've never seen this thing in my life. It must be a hidden camera.
That is not a hidden camera. It is literally just a fire alarm.
Yo, man, relax. That is literally just a fire alarm. Nice try, robot. I know that I'm being watched. Or am I the one doing the watching?
Fire alarm hidden cameras.
Somebody write that down. Shut up.
Cool bird.
I got a pigeon.
Oh my god.
Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh.
Wild and crazy.
Were they missing
Friday
a finger?
Night Findings. We just discovered, which we already knew, that your phone, an iPhone specifically, takes an infrared picture of you with your Face ID every 5-ish seconds. And we looked at it through an infrared camera, and it's pretty wild. Let's show you. Okay, have your home screen.
It's on the home screen.
Not touching anything.
No buttons.
Okay, infrared lens on the camera. Boom, there was 1. 2. That's so wild. Okay, cover the camera.
Okay.
Oh, there was another one. Okay, nothing.
There's no audio on that one.
Well, this looks dangerous.
What is that? Oh.
What?
Oh no.
Sometimes people are like, why'd you move back to New York? And I was like, I don't know, I just really love the ambiance and like there's such a charm to the city, you know?
Ambiance.
Who do you think the hottest girl in school is? The Epcot ball? Well, I like Melanie, and not just because she's pretty. I think she's really
Epcot.
Just a reminder that it's okay for
Oh.
relationships to end.
Not the Lightning McQueen. Not the Lightning McKee. Nami-ba, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you guys had a great stream. If Cuddle could, I'm so good at talking. Cuddle could hit you with a shout out, that would be great.
Go. Sorry.
Feel free to go take care of yourself. Go eat, go rest, go drink, go take a nap.
Oh, okay.
Go do anything you need to take care of yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I love macaroni. Today we're just chilling and watching TikToks. It's my last stream before the TD debut. I'm so good at talking tonight.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
This
Tell me why I
man
shouldn't
really
fire
cut
you
the
right
pizza
now.
just for his 2 slices.
Tell me why I shouldn't fire you right now.
No, I think I thought it's kind of reasonable.
Tell me.
Well, yeah, it's a good alert. It's an excellent alert.
Literally, nobody. Influencers. Guys, I'm sorry I haven't posted in a minute. I've been working like tirelessly, endlessly. So many hours have gone into this new project. You guys aren't ready. I just can't wait to show you guys all the behind the scenes and everything. And it's just this.
Would you guys still watch me if I release merch like this? If next week I show up to the debut and I come out with a shirt like this saying like, I know it's been a week since I've streamed. I've been working really hard. Here's the merch that comes with the 2D debut. Please give me money. I'm so poor.
How severe is salmonella? Because brownie batter has raw egg in it, and my friend just ate some.
I just found this fucking
I think you'll be
audio on
okay.
my DS.
Say something loud, go. What? Say something loud. Hello! Not that loud.
Caitlin, stop it already. I'm throwing this.
What's an observation duty? I can't figure out what's going on in that.
We'll always hit niggas.
Have you ever been to a bathroom with an exhibit in it?
Monkey, no, don't show me that. I will show me the cute. I can't see. No, not that one. Not that one.
Have you ever been to a bathroom with...
Ah, cute. We need more videos. What are we watching next? What are we watching next? I'm having a fun time just clicking on whatever I see. But I get scared because what if there's something bad? You know, I don't want to watch bad things. If I click on the YouTube page, what do we get? Can we watch cat TikToks? Oh my god. It's a Vine compilation. You guys, Vine was so weird because like we loved Vine when it was like relevant, and then it closed down, and we were spending so much time watching Vine compilations, and we did that all the time. And then TikTok came out, and we still kind of watched Vine compilations, and then Vines just became kind of cheesy and like kind of I'm watching this. We're watching this.
And the Sun Guardian, Guardian of the Sun.
I don't know if I...
Fuck off!
Why are you making me sing? I hate singing. When do I even come in? I don't...
Because, like, this is painful.
Stop! I could have dropped my croissant.
This was, like, peak middle school, though.
The restroom.
Oh my god.
But now I'm so confused. Am I a womp? Am I a womp?
Got diagnosed with cool guy syndrome yesterday. So now I
Now take Adderall.
Hey, I'm lesbian.
I'm sorry, that one's still good.
You were American. And they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were
Okay. Some of these still add up.
You're not sick. And the bad news? Well, you'll be reliving this 6-second moment for the rest of your life. Oh god, no!
Baby can't stay, baby, it's cold outside. I've got to
These either like still add up today, or they're still extremely painful.
That is
It's not correct. I'm sorry.
Because according to the encyclopedia of...
2 shots of
vodka. I'm so sorry.
Then 1.
No, don't. Huh? Okay.
Dear Diary, today just went from good to great.
Ooh, the ice is slippery. ISIS? Yeah, the ice is slippery. ISIS. No, the ice is...
Welcome to Bible study. We're all children of Jesus. Kumbaya.
Okay, that one's still kind of funny. I won't lie.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Adam! There's just something about hitting that whip that just, you know, like, oh, watch this. Boom. It just keeps me going.
Don't be afraid to be exactly who you are, even if it means being a little different, even if it means being a football or an iPad.
I haven't seen that one before. This guy, I used to watch this guy on YouTube. I remember
Stop saying I
him.
look like Chicken Little. He's dumb and he's a coward, and I'm not a coward.
That guy's videos still add up, I think.
Oh, I'm actually going to Madagascar. Oh, I'm going to Madagascar. I don't think.
Jared, could you read number 23 for the class? No,
No, actually, I cannot.
What up? I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to read.
That one still adds up.
Oh, it was great. Send my compliments to the chef. All right. Hey, chef. Yeah. You have beautiful eyes.
That one's so good. That one also still adds up. You're my dad. Also still adds up.
My brother pushed me, so I'm starting a Kickstarter to put him down. The benefits of killing him would be I would get pushed way less.
You can't sit with us. Actually, Megan, I can't sit anywhere. I have hemorrhoids.
That one's okay. That one kind of still holds up.
What is it? Overruled. This one's to end racism.
Don't tell your mother. Kiss one another.
Danny.
Die for each other.
Hello, I'm a piece of garbage. Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Meh. That one's still good.
Today I will be playing Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor. Oh my god.
Are there good cops? Let me show you something. He's right in here. Let's let him sleep.
That's still a good one.
Can't leave yesterday. Rebecca, it's not what you think. I won't hesitate, bitch.
Still a good one. No. I'm sorry. I loved Bill Wirtz when I was younger, but it's kind of meh. This one is bad. I hate this one. I don't want to hear this one ever again in my life. I'm sorry. I hate it.
We will now play the deceased's favorite song.
Is that Curtis Connor? This one is still good. I wonder what she's up to.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Is he in Spider-Verse? Realistically, he is. Realistically, this man does exist canonically in the Spider-Verse universe. He is possibly our universe's Spider-Man, when you think about it. When you think about it, we don't have a Peter Parker, probably. To my knowledge, we don't have, a Spider-Man that, does the spider things. But we do have this guy. This is our universe's Spider-Man. What is his canon event? Is his canon event Vine shutting down? Poor buddy. I hope you're doing well. I like this one.
Are they helium balloons? Yeah, I told you the car's not here for helium balloons. It's too late. Oh, we're flying away.
That one's good.
I do that.
That one's also good. I love her.
What's your name?
What the
Get to Del Taco.
Also a good one.
They got a new thing called Free
Hate this one.
Free Shavak.
That awkward moment when you're scrolling through someone's old Instagram photos and you accidentally comment the entire Declaration of Independence. Shit.
This one's also good. I think about it often.
You'll never save Prince Horus. I, King Dragon, will strike you down.
Dennis.
That's me.
Also a good one.
Girl in school is the Epcot ball. Well, I like Melanie, and not just because she's pretty. I think she's really
Epcot.
road work ahead.
Listen, I love him.
I sure hope
I
it
love Drew
does.
Gooden, but this one's just overused. I'm sorry.
Hey babe, happy 1 year.
Reminds you.
I'm 27.
I want to see my little boy.
Here he is.
I want to see my little boy.
Excellent.
Well, if it isn't Captain America, but it is me. No, it's
I do admittedly still say I sure hope it does, but I hate when other people do it.
What about NASCAR? Why do we need labels? Gay, straight, we're all humans.
Are you eating mayonnaise?
It's just food. Why do we need labels?
Stop.
Her videos are good. I love her videos. They still hold up. Those ones also are quite very good.
But no, you are. You are a racist butt.
Chris, is that a weed?
No, this is a
No.
crayon.
I'm sorry. This one's overused.
I mean, 4 female Ghostbusters? The feminists are taking over. I'm an adult virgin.
Also a good one.
Bros chilling in the hot
Also a good
tub,
one.
5 feet apart 'cause they're not gay.
I'm Coming Out is my favorite Diana Ross song because it reminds me of how gay I am.
God damn it. I was born in the wrong generation. I wish I was around in the 1300s where there's no clean water or electricity and everyone died from the plague.
Oh, that was from when the Vine creators had like a Vine content house. Also a good one. Come on. A classic.
420. Do you even smoke weed, dude? No, it smells gross, and brownies are good enough on their own. Also, is 420 a weed thing?
How did you take down Captain America? We shot him in the legs because his shield is the size of a dinner plate and he's an idiot.
So, like, are you a boy or a girl?
Are you an asshole or a big bitch?
Guys, the goggles snapped.
F. F. Also a good one. This one's a classic.
I got new goggles, my dudes.
I'm an LGBT ally and this is a safe space.
So what do you
I've never seen that one before, and I love it.
What? Why? Oh, fuck.
Dear Diary, today I couldn't find my diary, so I'm writing this on both of my Kung Fu Panda 2 DVDs.
That was a good
There it is,
one.
The Tumblr logo. What do you think? You think this is a goddamn joke?
Hurry up, we're gonna be late for school. Bruh, chill. I don't know why you're in a big time rush.
This for the
Thanks for cutting the cake for us. Why is the inside of the cake blue?
The cake has spoken.
What?
The child shall have a dom.
What?
All hail gender.
Hey, beautiful, what's your name? Nope, miss me with that gay shit. Oh, so there's no Mr. Me with that gay shit.
That's a good one. We're watching. I want to watch cat videos. We're doing cat videos next. Like, I just need like a nice cat compilation. You feel me? Here we go.
What the heck? Where did you come from? What? I'm not allowed
Big Top
to watch
Burger?
this?
Oh, is that a suggestion? Okay. I didn't know that was a suggestion. I thought you were just saying that. Okay, I don't know what Big Top Burger is. There's seasons? There's multiple seasons of this. What do I want? There's a lot. What is this? Okay. Season 1 is 11 minutes. I do not know what this is at all.
Hi, welcome to Big Top Burger, where our motto is hot tires, hot burgers.
Oh, interesting motto. May I have a simple burger, please?
Oh, coming right up. Hey, Tim, can I get a simple burger?
You may not.
One second, sir. Hey, Tim, what's up?
The whole stove's gone.
Oh.
Someone just ripped it out of the wall.
I mean, it was probably Steve.
Why do you say that, Billy?
There's like a trail of grease leading to his office.
Why do they have an office in
Just
the
one more
truck?
second, sir.
Steve, you didn't happen to see the stove, did you? Ah, there it is.
Steve, what are you doing?
Preparing some treats for my daughter's bake sale, of course.
Oh, wow, sir. I didn't know you had a daughter.
I
don't think he does. Steve, man, the stove's not even plugged into anything.
Is that a customer I see? Hello, little boy.
Me?
What would you like on this fine morning?
I feel like my chain's being yanked around a bit here, but I shall repeat, just a simple burger, please, sir.
What a wonderful little boy.
Are they British or Australian?
Now hold on 1 second.
Merry Christmas to you, my boy.
Huh. All right. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Aren't we in June?
Yeah,
it's 100% June.
You're listening to 102.5 Food Truck Radio, where we only play weird.
Some of them sound Australian and some sound British.
I just don't see how there can be a brunch rush. People don't get brunch breaks.
Maybe they're having brunch for lunch. Huh?
But it's 9 in the morning.
Ooh, we're here.
I thought we had like 15 minutes to go. I see. Steve, buddy, what are you doing?
Getting meat for the burgers.
Now, Steve, we have plenty of good meat in the freezer. We're all covered on meat.
Oh, Steve, you can do it. Get that meat.
Don't encourage him.
It's just like Genshin Impact, honestly.
You're pretty strong.
Should we help him at all, or...?
Nah, man, that elk looks jacked. Steve, we're missing the brunch rush, man.
4 aces.
Steve reminds me of like a Junji Ito character.
I guess
he reminds me of what's his name a lot.
Careful, Billy.
Get out of here, you noble creature.
No. Go back! Michael!
What's his name?
Son.
What's the name of the character I'm
Are
thinking?
you trying to eat it?
Billy, my girl! Hurry! We mustn't miss the brunch rush!
What?
Hurry, Billy!
Okay, hold on.
What's the little fella's name? The Menace. What's his
Steve,
name?
Whoa, Steve, why are you so big?
Everything's fine. Don't phone the fire department.
Oh, don't worry, sir. I won't.
Between you and me, Peggy, I smoked
Peggy?
this jewel, and it did unthinkable things to my mind and body.
Wow. I didn't know that they could do that.
Back on Broadway yet again.
Penny, could I get some help over here?
Oh yeah, sure thing. Hey, what's up?
There's this kid out there. I think he's a customer. Something's wrong with him, though. He's really freaking me out.
Don't worry. I'm great with kids.
Hello, Mrs. Cloud.
Suspicious exchange.
Of soup?
Billy, I think that's our boss. You know, Steve.
That's impossible.
Hello.
Is he getting smaller?
Wow.
Excuse me, ladies. Is this establishment open for dining?
Oh, yeah, sure thing.
Oh, what can we get you?
I've got a terrible craving for a burger, if you'd believe it.
Cool. We sell those, right?
I think so. Let me check with Tim. Tim, we're still doing burgers, right? You know, despite it all.
A pleasure to meet you. My name's Tom.
What?
2 of them.
Something's up
One
with that
of them.
Steve guy. He's got a weird vibe.
Oh, he definitely does. Oh, the customer. Sorry, sir. Your burger's on the way.
It's no trouble. You've got a fine eatery here, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. I'm not the owner, though. That'd be our boss. Steve.
Oh, you want a roughhouse, huh?
Oh, you want to take some sucker shots at my banana cage? You want to take some sucker shots at my banana cage, Bilbo?
What is that? Ooh.
Well, let's tango! Conrad! Ready to cannon? Cannon ready, boss. Ha! Fire!
This is really well done.
What the heck is going on? Oh, not you guys again.
Who are they?
Oh, that's Zomburger, our rival food truck.
This is the day you die, Big Top Burger.
Die?
Yeah. I think also they're they're trying to destroy us.
Hey, Steve, how's business? You sell any burgers? His burgers are bad, but mine are 100% worse. We're practically selling charcoal in a bun.
Our burgers make yours look like beef Wellington, like the apple Eve gave unto Adam.
It's highway robbery. It's criminal. Nobody could even digest what we're making.
How is that a good thing?
Yeah, hold on.
How is that a good thing?
You fools! This is a themed restaurant. People only come here to make humorous Instagram posts about our absurd burgers.
That is an absurd burger.
Bad food sells burgers, Steve. Bad food sells burgers. Ready to cannon?
Oh, what a strange business model.
They're just riffing over there, huh?
We got him. Somebody pour Gatorade on Conrad. We got him. Wrap it up. Yeah. Let's head home, boys.
Is anyone driving the truck?
I knew you were going to do this from the moment I got out of bed today. Typical Steve. I'm not surprised. Oh, you would pull some horse piss like this.
God damn it!
I'll get you for this, Steve! Oh my God!
Is this normal food truck stuff?
Thanks for coming. Have a good night.
What do you mean the noses aren't real? What do you mean it's not real?
Well, this can't be right. Were you folks all clowns this morning?
Yeah, it's just makeup. Like grease paint?
What did you think it was?
Well, I thought you were all real, genuine clowns. Very disappointing.
Dude, clowns aren't real. That's wild.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
What do you mean
Hey,
it's
Steve,
not real?
You coming? Just gonna wear that all night, huh? Weird vibes on this guy, I'm telling you.
See you tomorrow, Billy. See you, Tim.
Bye, Penny.
That one's real. That's good. Wait, there's... Oh, it's just all... Oh, wait, there's more at the very end. Hi, Mittens.
You want a rough house, huh?
It's a...
Okay.
The last V-word stream before stream.
My right big underbelly, Bilbo?
Last V-word stream before V-word Titus forever.
Oh, you would pull some bullshit like this, wouldn't you, Steve? Well, typical. Well, you would pull some bullshit like this. Well, you would. Oh, you would pull some bullshit like this, you slippery toad. Oh, you would pull some horse ass like this.
That's good. That's good. I like it. Orange juice. Orange juice. Okay. Oh, what is the cream, maybe? You got your strawberries. More strawberries. Okay, then you got. In the orange juice? It's just a baby. Wonderful. Oh no. That's not good.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
Oh. Likes to play.
So you just gonna lay on my bed with your legs open like you pay bills around here, sir? You don't pay no bills. When you start paying bills, then you can take a nap in the middle of the day. It's a pandemic, Jimmy.
That's me. Oh.
And I can put it in a bun. And I can put it in a bun. I got my eggs back.
Funny. This person did not edit the end part out. Makes me mad. One of my cats was playing with a balloon earlier today.
Paw. 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 Chubby whoopee.
That's a good baby. It's a wonderful baby. Baby kitty. That is so round. Oh no! How do you lose to a cat?
It's so bad. Me. It's so bad. No.
Oh.
No.
That'd be Mavis. That would actually be my cat.
So my cat's an indoor cat, but she loves going outside, but I refuse to let her be an outdoor cat.
Fair.
So
Good choice.
we have what I call supervised outdoor activities.
Excellent.
And just plop her in like so. Bam, eating grass.
Brush. Whoa. Oh, melon. What are we? A cow? That's cool. I don't like melon, but that looks pretty cool.
Dave, are you hungry? Say yeah.
Oh, I've never seen the
Guys,
original
help,
of that.
I think my cat is broken.
Good cat. Slay. Actual slay.
That's not my cat. Totoro. Totoro. What the fuck?
You got an extra cat.
Happy guy. Oh, just a happy guy. Oh, just a look at that. A happy.
They're best friends.
Oh,
Oh my
happy
god.
dog. Oh, just a happy.
Is this one again? This is that round cat. no. I've been very lucky that none of my cats have gotten into that yet. Oh man, I want to get a wheel for my cat so bad, but they're so expensive. They're like $200. And I'm not spending $200 on a cat wheel as much as I would love to. Blip. Can I do it again? Do it again. Tom does not care at all. Yes, do it again. Do it again. Smack him. Get him. Get him. So close. Yes! That's how I get woken up sometimes.
Bro, do something about
He does not get it. His ass does not understand pianos. Oh my god. Absolute baby.
You coming? Ready? Good boy. It's just better to, come straight on, here's as the crow flies. Fancy, we can't ride if you're standing on the tire. It's just physics. We've gone over this before many times. What are you doing? Yeah. There's no basket. You can't ride the tire. No. Come on, buddy. No, come on. We've gone. It doesn't work like this.
He doesn't understand.
No, you have to come up here.
It's a pretty cat.
You want to come up this way? You just got to get on the batteries. There you go. There you go. Now you got it.
Pretty kitty.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Oh, that is a really pretty cat.
Okay. Do you want to stop here or keep going? I'm going to keep going. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go more on an adventure tonight.
That's good. Fancy.
Don't laugh.
Slay. Absolute slay.
Fuck off.
Oh, my heart. He wants more. Oh my god. That is so cute. Hi, Seb. We watched this one already. They already did this one. Like Slay, but we saw this one already.
Sit down.
Get up there.
Now, don't say no. Get down.
How did he get up there? Oh. Yeah, good job.
Don't do that again, ever.
Bobo. Baby kitty. Oh my god. My mom really wants to get them that kind of toy. And we just haven't. I don't know why we haven't. Excellent. Okay. Let me hide this. Man, I had a good idea of what we were gonna watch next, but I don't remember what I was gonna have us watch next. Oh my god, don't autoplay things. What was I gonna have us play next? I'm mad that I can't think of it. Or gore. Well, I mean, I'll take suggestions as also. Nothing like 6 hours long, you know, but let me like. Oh, I'm so mad that I couldn't think of what I wanted to watch. What was it? What was it? Man, I'm mad. We should react to the entirety. I don't think I can stream to that. I fear. I don't think I can. I think they would be mad if I tried to stream a whole movie. I think there's like some movies that are stream safe, but I don't. Very much about FNAF, to be honest. Like the lore, I just, I know that there's a guy named William, and I think he did murder. So here we are.
Today we end the torment. 19 books, 11 games, 8
19
whole
books?
years,
I didn't know
all
there
leading
that
to
many
this moment.
books.
The ultimate FNAF timeline is finally complete. The pieces are in place for us. Now all we have to do is put this story of tragedy, jealousy, and loss back together. Hello, Internet.
I
Welcome
intend
to
on
Game
coming out of this
Theory,
video
the show that
knowing
feels like a kid
everything
revealing the class project
about this
that he's been
timeline.
working on all
I need to
year.
feel
Except
prepared
here,
for the
it's the class
movie.
project that I've been working on for the past decade of my life. This one is big, my friends, and I gotta admit, kind of nervous. I haven't attempted a timeline video on this franchise since 2018. Back in the days when Mike was the crying child, Afton coming back was actually a surprise, and Fazgoo wasn't a phrase I'd ever thought I'd have to utter. But since the last time I did something like this, we've had 3 more massive games, the death and revival of the FNAF movie, and more robot kids than you can shake a staff bot at. It is exhausting trying to keep track of this whole franchise, which honestly is why I'm here today. The lore at this point is complicated. It is full of speculation and theory, so to hopefully make it a little easier for everyone and to give us all a baseline to talk about this franchise moving forward into the future, it's time to reveal my current working FNAF timeline. But just before I do, I just want to explain a couple of things. First, this timeline is massive. Seriously, it is huge. This thing towers over any video project we have ever done on the channel.
Wait, how long is this
when you
video?
look at the totality of this franchise, the story of FNAF really boils down to the story of one man, William Afton. His successes, his failures, his rise to becoming co-owner of one of the most successful restaurant franchises in the world, and his eventual fall to the monsters he helped to create, only to then be reborn
It's 3 parts?
in a
Oh
new
my
digital
god.
form later. That's why I
Is it
decided
really?
to split this timeline into 3 main chunks. The foundation of
Oh,
Freddy's,
no.
how the business started and how it came into being, the Afton era, William's decades-long murder spree, and post-Purple Guy. Basically modern FNAF. Everything that
Modern
happens
FNAF.
after the Pizzeria Simulator fire. And because there are lots of new
I don't even know what
big
the Pizza
revelations
Simulator
of this
fire
thing
is.
that seemingly come out of nowhere, as well as just points I want to talk about further,
I have not kept
decided
up with
to
this
dedicate
game
one
since,
episode
like-
to each chunk. I
I have
originally
not
wanted it to be
kept up
one
with anything about this game
seamless
since, like, the
continuous
4th
video,
game,
it
I
just felt
think.
incomplete without some sort of
Maybe 3rd, I don't
explanation at the
remember.
end of each one. Once this whole thing's done, I promise I'm gonna merge all the narrative bits into one massive video so you can just skip my explanations. But for now, this just felt like the best, most satisfying, most complete way to do this. That being said, this is still about the story, the broad strokes of the franchise. So in order to make sure that you guys know that I'm not just pulling answers out of thin air, not only am I discussing some of the more controversial bits at the end of each chunk, we're also putting in a handy little
I
graphic
thought
in the
that
bottom
was just
left-hand
part of
corner
the thing.
screen, which will show thumbnails, video titles, books, and any other citations that we need throughout the video. So if you wish to understand that specific statement in more detail, you know exactly where we've taken it from. That way you can look into
Matt
those
gave
details
birth
for
to
yourself.
Spring
So sit back,
Trap.
grab some popcorn or your pitchforks if you're the type to get upset when I say something controversial, and make sure that you subscribe, since this is going to be a video that you're going to want to come back to a few times in order to fully
Listen,
dissect. Without any
the
more
game was
waiting,
just a
I
quirky
present to
editing
you the
thing.
story of a loving, obsessive father who slowly descended into madness, and along the way discovered the secret to eternal life.
Being a ghost?
Our story begins not in the 1980s, or even in the 1970s, but all the way back in the 1930s. It was the throes of the Great Depression, and people were in desperate need of cheap entertainment, especially in Utah, one of the states hit hardest, 4th highest unemployment in the nation, and full of transients. People looking for work in Salt Lake, finding none, and ultimately moving on to find their fortunes out in California. People were tired and they were hungry, but as they traveled, there was one thing that could lift their spirits. A
Freddy
simple roadside
Fazbear.
attraction called Fredbear's Singin' Show. The ads were plastered all over town, featuring an animated bear drawn in the popular pie-eyed cartoon style
That's
for
really
characters
cute,
at the time.
actually.
He resembled cartoons like Mickey Mouse, Felix the Cat, Betty Boop. It immediately said that this, Fredbear's, was a place where you could bring the family. And the price, honestly, couldn't be beat. For 50 cents, you could get food and entertainment as you watched the local trained real-life dancing bear perform on stage. Normally, you only got to
Whoa.
see dancing bears at large traveling circuses like Barnum and Bailey, where the tickets would go for about $1. That's $1 without
shit.
food. But this was a smaller show, like the type from the Vaughn brothers or the Robbins brothers, where tickets would sell for just a mere 50 cents. Watching that bear do tricks on stage brought a glimmer of joy at a time when so much was wrong with the world. The simple show would go on for years, bringing happiness to hundreds of travelers passing through looking for a quick meal. But it left a permanent impression on one little boy, capturing his imagination in a way that nothing else had. One little boy named Billy. That was his
Billy.
nickname at least, but his parents liked to call him William Afton. The bear could dance, it
Purple.
could sing. For decades, William dreamed of recreating that moment of bringing a musical bear to life, but how? William was smart, without a doubt, and he had a keen mind for business, but he wasn't the most creative. How do you make a singing, dancing bear come to life? The best he could do was using rudimentary costumes. William was inspired by the work of Walt Disney, who throughout the 50s and 60s was pioneering the use of mascot suits throughout his theme park. The big innovation? Suits with 5 fingers. This allowed the
Wow.
performers wearing the suits to use their natural arms and hands to interact with the guests, as opposed to the older models where the arms would just hang limply by their sides. Finally, with a simple mascot suit, he would be able to realize his childhood dream. He would be able to bring Fredbear to life. To appeal to the kids, and for copyright reasons, he changed Fredbear from a realistic brown animal to a cartoonish yellow bear with a purple hat and bow tie. But feeling like one character wasn't enough, he added another friend, a yellow rabbit with a purple vest and matching tie named Bonnie the Bunny. Well, Fredbear was
So the golden
certainly
ones
his first
came
love.
first.
Bonnie was extra special because that was his. It was an original character that he had created from scratch. And I do mean scratch. William's hand-sewn costumes were rough with seams and stitches visibly showing, but it was the best that he could do. And you know what? It was just enough. Bonnie and Fredbear would perform on stage to small but enthusiastic crowds. Finally, he was able to deliver fantasy and fun to all the kids, delighting and inspiring them in the exact way that he had been delighted and inspired so many years ago. And things could have ended there. That could have been the end to his story. It could have been perfect had it not been for one thing. Other people saw the success of his idea and they wanted in. Enter Chica's Party World, a rival restaurant starring performing animal characters. His idea, except they did it better. William may have been the first, but obviously he wasn't the best. It hurt the prideful William Afton to admit it, but this restaurant was able to do the thing that he always wanted to do: make the animals actually come to life. All of the performers in this restaurant were robots, simple metal skeletons that were powered by battery packs, but all of them able to freely turn and talk and dance on their own, no human required. It was like magic. Magic that came from the mind of a brilliant creator named Henry Emily. This Henry, in some small way, had been able to harness the power of life itself.
What year is
Afton
this
admired it.
currently?
He was jealous, to be sure, but he also looked upon this man with awe. Off to one side of Chica's Party World was a small cabaret stage featuring an elephant magician.
never
On the other,
seen
a
an
hippo
elephant.
known to ramble on and on. That one was more of a joke for the parents, but it was the main stage that was for the kids. A rocking band of characters featuring a yellow chicken thing with a southern drawl
Chicken
named
thing?
Chica, backed by a band of other country-themed characters, including a pig with a banjo, an upbeat frog from the local swimming hole, and a brown bear with a heavy southern accent.
I've never seen these before.
Bear? But bears were his animals. Why
Oh,
not a
shit,
cow
you gotta kill
or a
him.
horse? Something to fit the country theme a bit better. Why'd it have to be a bear? And adding insult to injury, they had the nerve to call this thing Ned Bear, a direct copy of his own Fredbear.
Whoops, that's gonna leave a mark.
No, that was
Then
not
you
okay.
gotta kill him.
Afton's jealous admiration turned to hardened bitterness. A bitterness that would only grow over the next couple of years as families continued to choose Chica's Party World over Fredbear's. William just couldn't compete with the appeal of the robots.
To be fair, his
Eventually,
costumes did
restaurant
kinda
would go
suck.
bankrupt, only to get bailed out by, of course, Henry Emily. Another
Wow.
insult. Another humiliation that William wouldn't soon forget. 1979. Despite being bitter, Afton couldn't deny that what came next was a period of
1979.
massive success and expansion. With the two franchises now merged into one, it was the best of both worlds. Afton's ideas with Henry's robotic expertise. The two men decided to launch under a new name, Fredbear's Family Diner, a pizza chain that would eventually come to feature a mix of humans in performing suits as well as on-stage animatronics. They decided to stick with Fredbear as the headliner, considering the yellow bear was easily identifiable as a brand and because he was the original performing animal mascot. Afton appreciated that. This new restaurant would also see a mix of characters as the two franchises merged into one, with Pig Patch and Happy Frog performing right alongside Fredbear and Bonnie. And as part of this one big Fredbear family, they even got themselves official merch that were released, ranging from masks to magnets.
The crappy Mr. Hippo fridge magnet?
That said, not all the characters were winners. The
Gregory.
reception to some characters was just mediocre, so they faded away into the dumpster, storage units, and retro budget tech stores of lost nostalgia, waiting for their chance to step back into the limelight if and when a headliner went out of commission. Others, though, would fare much better, like a new Pirate Fox, as well as a blue guitar-playing variant of the yellow Bonnie Bunny. Ultimately, the franchise would get so big, it would spawn its own
What do you mean
cartoon
blue?
show, Fredbear and Friends. Business was booming. In the end, Fredbear and Bonnie's popularity would be so strong that they would be able to support the Fredbear's Family Diner franchise all on their own, while also spinning off a new sister location dedicated to their friends.
Oh my God,
In
just like the
1983,
game.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza launched, giving a dedicated home to all this new supporting cast of characters: Chica the Chicken, Bonnie the Blue Bunny, Foxy the Pirate, and of course the headliner, a brown Freddy Fazbear. Business was good, and Afton was happy.
Thank you for the
mostly.
follow.
It
Oh, wait,
did
hi, Kurt.
bother
Hi,
him
hi.
that the one
Hi, sorry.
original character that he created, The one
watching
that he
FNAF lore
himself
today.
played, Golden Bonnie, got passed over for inclusion in that cartoon show. The only character in the roster of regulars to get ignored for the show, but other than that, things were going smoothly. He had himself a wife, 2 sons, a daughter, he had a thriving business, and best of all, he was able to learn the craft of robotics from the man that he both loved and hated, Henry. Together, they were constantly pushing the limits of what these characters could do. Because it was quick and easy, new characters introduced into the roster would be given a simple hand-sewn suit with 5 fingers that any performer could wear. Eventually, Henry would design one of his signature animatronics for that character, utilizing a divided mouth with either a hinged or sliding jaw design. This was the first generation of animatronics. But why stop there? Afton had big ideas. What if the animatronics weren't just locked to the stage, but could freely roam the restaurant and interact with kids? What if his mascot suits could become animatronics? What if you could use more than just rigid metallic skeletons? Why not experiment with tubes and wires that would give the animatronics fluidity and flexibility while still providing structure? The possibilities for this technology were endless. Afton fell in love with robotics. He had started with a dream of bringing one simple singing bear to life, but with robots, he had stumbled across the tools that gave him the ability to control life itself. And thanks to Henry, he was practically speedrunning his way to an engineering degree. And while William wouldn't admit it out loud, one other thing that kept pushing him forward was the desire to beat his former rival, to prove himself smarter and more capable, to surpass the man who everyone else considered to be a visionary genius. But pride cometh before the fall, and tragedy was about to strike. Okay, so that brings us to the end of part 1 of the story.
Why does this guy only have one picture of himself?
I want to break down some of the logical leaps that I made, since the more narrative format doesn't give me much of a chance to justify a lot of the big decisions. And admittedly, there are some large leaps in here. Let's just start off with Fredbear's Singin' Show, shall we? We know, based on the retro poster that was hidden in Security Breach, that at least at one point, Fredbear was an actual bear. And like I called out in that narrative segment, dancing bear shows were a real form of entertainment. The only problem is that, timing-wise, none of our main characters would be the people in charge of that business in the 30s, and a series of pizza restaurants in the 80s without him just being extremely old. Best case scenario, if Afton's running the Singin' Show when he's 18, that still puts him at nearly 70 when the first pizzeria opens and his murder spree begins. That just doesn't make a lot of logical sense, because he doesn't become immortal until his first death in Springtrap. That's why I suspect that Fredbear's Singin' Show was either a family business that Afton then carried on to a new generation, or something that he saw as a kid and just wanted to recreate when he grew up. The Fredbear Singin' Show thing also starts laying the groundwork for some of the core elements of the story, that Freddy's was a place of fantasy and fun, and that Afton, despite eventually falling to become the
these aren't funny pizza management games? What do you mean there's murder?
Someone with good intentions and a love of entertaining kids. He wanted to bring things to life from the very beginning, a theme that recurs a lot for him throughout the rest of the franchise. Next up, let's talk about those mascot costumes. One thing that I keep going back to is the design of Glitch Trap. It's a handcrafted suit. You can see the seams and everything. It even has 5 fingers for the performer's hands. It is very much not a Springtrap suit. This is something much more rudimentary. It came at a time before animatronics were a part of the story. That's why I suspect that it was actually the first, predating literally everything. It's also a suit that is very personal to Afton. He put his digital consciousness in that form. It's his personal avatar. It's the way that he sees himself. There's also a whole separate discussion to be had here about the habits and rituals of serial killers. So the fact that he's choosing to lure kids and kill them in this particular suit actually says a lot about his emotional attachment to it. So while Fredbear seems to have started as someone else's creation, Golden Bonnie was uniquely Williams, giving him a personal connection. And that's not all. In this whole franchise, only one set of characters have themselves 5 fingers, the Nightmares. Even Golden Freddy, Fredbear was a 5-fingered wearable suit at one point in the story, as we see in this shot from the graphic novel, before he, like everyone else, was turned into an animatronic. This seems to imply that all of the main characters had similar wearable mascot outfits at least at one point in time, and that whoever is having the FNAF 4 nightmares, if they even are nightmares, something that we'll touch on in part 2, saw those mascot suits specifically. Lastly, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The literal elephant, Orville Elephant, as well as the rest of the mediocre melodies. For a while now, I've suspected that the mediocre melodies played a much more important role in the story than just being a bunch more animatronics to fill out the roster. Especially Ned Bear, which is just so suspiciously close to Fredbear. And yet, there are 2 key details that we're gonna have to justify with any mediocre melodies mention. One, they're very rudimentary with external battery packs, implying that they come very early in the timeline. And two, we know that at minimum, Mr. Hippo does eventually become an official member of the extended Freddyverse. But if these things are supposed to be cheap, generic rip-offs, why would you be trying to rip off yourself? You wouldn't. You would be stealing someone else's ideas. So if Afton created Fredbear, there would have to be some rival franchise. The only other person who would likely be ripping him off? Henry. We've talked extensively about how the mediocre melodies are clearly Henry's design aesthetic, so it just has to be him. I don't think Henry's doing this maliciously. He doesn't strike me as the type. He was likely building the robots at the orders of someone else that was running a rival restaurant franchise. But that's enough motivation to start Afton down a path of jealous rivalry, but also begrudging admiration. As the Freddy Files Ultimate Edition says, it's important to revisit the beginning of Henry and William's relationship, so here you go. I think this is where it begins. Also, this is future Matt Pat here coming back to add this one in. Seems like the recently released character encyclopedia has backed up all of this speculation. I've had this timeline written for about a month now, but I've also been holding off a bit to see what wrenches this character encyclopedia might throw into it. And on this particular point, I gotta say, it seems like we might actually have nailed it. They actively call out the suspicious similarities to the main Fredbear crew. Quote from one of the pages: Ned Bear looks like an imitation, altered just enough to avoid copyright issues. I don't know about you, but that seems to imply that we were right on the money. Knowing all of this, at one point the franchises had to have merged. That's really the only way that you get Mr. Hippo from the rival franchise as part of the Fazbear crew. This also mirrors a lot of what happened in the real-life history of Chuck E. Cheese, with two rival restaurants, each with their own casts of characters, merging to become one unified brand. Again, we've gone into that in detail with other videos, just wanted to remind you all of that here. But why would I call out the rival restaurant as being named Chica's Party World? Few things, actually. First, we know for a fact that a location named Chica's Party World exists. It is mentioned in the source code teasing sister location, so it is out there somewhere and doesn't fit cleanly anywhere. Second, in the story of the Puppet Carver, Chica is very explicitly looped in with the book versions of Pig Patch and Ned Bear, implying that she started as a mediocre melody. Thirdly, her design just fits better with the theme of down-home country animals with southern accents playing the banjo and eating with bibs. And with her being the headliner of the show with her name on the restaurant, it would make sense then that when the restaurants merged, she was the one that was added to the main cast of characters while all the other mediocres faded away. It's also why when Freddy's closes after William's killing spree, she's the one to branch back off into her old franchise and is therefore missing in sister location, a detail that's bothered me for years at this point. It might also explain why William decided to stuff his first dead kid into Chica. That one was Henry's creation, not his. Is all of this a big leap? Yeah. Is it connecting a lot of dots that are very spread out across the franchise that I've been holding on in the back of my mind for years? Absolutely. But I think it makes sense. It also serves as a clean answer to a lot of the random threads that Scott's been leaving dangling for years. So with all of that in mind, my friends, we can close the book on the foundation of Freddy's. And don't worry, next week I'll be back to give you arguably one of the most confusing parts of this entire timeline situation. Part 2, the Afton era. I promise, it will actually be next week this time. No more waiting around. I am just as eager to get this one out the door as you are to watch it. I promise. You know what else I promise? I promise that we'll actually get to talking about the games. I would have liked to have talked about them in this episode, but there just isn't that much in the games that helps us depict anything pre-Family Diner. Although, let's be honest, this franchise has never been just about the games anyway. Even back in the early days of FNAF, we were decoding images and source code that Scott fed us through the website. The modern day books and the clues that we get from those things, now they're just modern extensions of that. All of it is crucial to understanding this franchise and its lore. Unless, of course, Steel Wool finally gets around to making that Fredbear's Family Diner game they want to make so badly.
I've always would love to do is get kind of back to, I have no clue if we'll ever be able to do this, but getting back to kind of like the origin of like Fazbear Entertainment or the origin of
Cuddle, can you make us a poll?
But in the meantime, while we wait for that inevitably cryptic game, I hope that this starts.
Do we watch the entire 4 videos? Well, I guess we already watched the first one. Should we watch all of the videos? Yes or no? It is 10 p.m. You can make us a poll, and I'm gonna go have my medicine break because it's medicine time for me. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Hello. We voted yeah? Okay. I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested in it myself. So, here we go. We're having just a fun little FNAF lore watching along, huh? Okay. They got a playlist, so we can watch this playlist.
Today we
watched that one. This is the next one.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory, and officially page 7 of the FNAF timeline script. Last time we covered the origins of Freddy. We talked about William Afton's childhood dream project of making a singing bear come to life, and the infuriating moment that his dream is copied by a rival restaurant franchise looking to steal away his success. The merger of the two franchises results in William meeting Henry, a brilliant designer with a knack for robotics. Working together, they make Fredbear's flourish, spawning popular Saturday morning cartoon shows, toy lines, and spin-off restaurants under the Fazbear name. When last we left him, Afton was thriving, the world of robotics opening his eyes to new and exciting ways of bringing characters to life. Bringing things to life, yeah, that was his core driving force, his passion. And it was this very passion that would mutate, twist, and morph from here on out in the story. Because with life, there is inevitably death. Something that Afton would become intimately familiar with. But before Afton acquaints himself with death, I want you to take some time to acquaint yourself with our newest channel. Guys, this is a huge moment for us theorists.
I don't want to hear about this.
We've had this 4-player controller icon, and now we finally fill in the final missing piece.
That's so crazy.
In the fashion industry, where we're gonna physically be finished this the world that look is running, Fredbear's Family Diner and the newly opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Together, William and Henry had been able to take the hybrid suit idea and make it into a reality. They called their new invention the Springlock suit, and fittingly enough, it was symbolic of the partnership between these two men. A human suit as designed by William that could become a freestanding Henry-style robot. But because it was still new tech with kinks to work out, the rollout was limited, restricted only to the Fredbear's Family Diner location. All of this meant that William was busier than ever. He didn't have time to be a full-time parent, so he designed a nanny cam system where cameras and speakers were hidden throughout the neighborhood, as well as in his youngest son's favorite toy, psychic friend Fredbear. I mean, plushy Fredbear. But since cameras just weren't enough to raise a kid, he also left childcare duties to his eldest son, Michael. There was just one problem with that. Michael was far from the best babysitter. He tormented his younger brother by jump scaring him with a foxy mask and constantly left him behind. William watched all of it from his cameras. Kids would be kids. Tomorrow was another day, after all. Except Michael's torment didn't stop. Bitter, angry thoughts would run through Michael's mind. Why did he have to be the one to take care of this whining crybaby all the time? It just wasn't fair. It was time that he got even with his brother by playing the ultimate prank. A prank that just so happened to be on this crying child's birthday. He and his friends would take his scared little brother and make him do the one thing that he was terrified of doing, getting close to the animatronics. That would be embarrassing for the kid that was such an embarrassment to him. His brother squirmed, screamed, kicked, and fought, but just as they were putting that small squirming boy up to Fredbear's lips, the mouth snapped shut. The sensitive spring locks inside the body had been triggered by the boy's movements. They'd immediately clamped down. The wriggling stopped. The boy went limp, but it was just a prank. It was meant to be funny. The boy was taken to the hospital and was immediately given an IV. Flowers and pills filled the nightstand next to his hospital bed, but the damage was too severe. He couldn't recover. As the younger brother's consciousness began to fade, he could hear Michael's last words, a small and flimsy apology. But his father, Williams, through the voice of the Fredbear plush, were a firm and committed promise to a dying son. You're broken. I will put you back together. This would not be the end. No matter what, William's son would live again. It would just take time. Time that, right now, he just didn't have. His young son's heart flatlined as the boy faded into the ancient
Your son's dying and you want to be present through a teddy bear.
Changes started happening around the restaurants. Kids were now required to wear security wristbands to prevent anyone from getting outside without parental permission. Any kid who approached the exit without permission would have to answer to the security puppet, a marionette on strings that could fly around on rails across the restaurant to stop kids in their tracks. It was William's idea, inspired by Michael constantly leaving the restaurant without his brother. In the wake of Fredbear's Springlock failure, all the hybrid suits were getting retired, locked away at the nearby Freddy Fazbear location. It was yet another tough pill to swallow after all the hard work that he and Henry had put into them. William would eventually bury the boy's small body in a remote location out in the woods right alongside his drive into and out of work every day. The death of this little boy sent the family spiraling. His wife, crippled with grief, was so distraught that all she could do was sit and watch TV. But his son Michael was far worse, complaining of seeing hallucinations of a golden bear standing outside of his window. The boy was so racked with guilt that he was convinced that he was being haunted by the ghost of his brother stuck inside the suit that took his life. The suit's three-toed feet digging into the wet earth. The words, "It's me," ringing through Michael's ears. Some nights, Michael would even go so far as to break out of his room to check the gravesite and ensure that his brother was still there. As for William himself, he disappeared into his work and his drinks. Junior's, the local bar, wasn't far from his son's gravesite. He found himself going there more and more frequently, spending longer and longer amounts of time there. The bar gave him a place to think, to remember, to reflect and stew on how Henry had stolen his idea for an animal-themed restaurant, how they'd cut his character out of the cartoon when everyone else was there, how Henry had humiliated him by buying him out of bankruptcy, and now there was his son. Henry had taken his son from him.
I don't think Henry was responsible for that, but...
William ordered one more drink, but it was one too many. The bar turned him out and told him to go home. But William didn't go home. Drunk and angry, William raced back to the restaurant to give Henry a piece of his mind, only to find someone else waiting. Henry's daughter, Charlie, locked outside of the building, bullies laughing at her through the window. Fine, some other problem to fix. But then Afton got an idea, a beautifully awful idea. This was his chance to get back at the man that had humiliated him all those years ago. Henry had killed his business, and now Henry's robotic suit had killed his son. It was time for William to do some killing of his own. Let Henry feel what it's like to have something you love get ripped away. While parties continued inside the walls of the pizzeria, William attacked Charlie in the back alley. It felt good. He felt free. The years of resentment and bitterness trapped in his heart finally released in a moment of pure unapologetic evil. He would make Henry hurt like he hurts. And in that moment, William became a killer. He dropped Charlie's lifeless body and drove home, forced to confront his family problems later that night, appalled, but also a little excited by what he had just done. Charlie's death would remain on the books as a random act of violence. And though Henry had suspicions about William, there was no physical evidence, nothing that could link him back to the crime. In the weeks that followed, Fredbear's Family Diner would close for good. 2 high-profile deaths around the restaurant with 2 grieving owners in such a short period of time was just too much bad press to handle. Besides, Freddy Fazbear's was still open, and it was the newer restaurant anyway. All the equipment from the diner, including the old yellow suits and security puppet, would get retired to that location, and there they would sit for 2 uneventful years. The rest of 1983 and 1984 were spent quietly grieving. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the new cast of characters were a hit. Tragic memories of their yellow predecessors quickly faded. Afton kept a low profile and buried himself in work and research, quickly reaching Henry's level of engineering and even surpassing him. And while Henry slowed down to grieve, Afton kept going, even starting his own company, Afton Robotics, for all those pet projects that were a little bit too experimental for the regular operations of the pizzeria. The first of these experimental projects was a secret workshop under his house, a veritable bunker, which allowed him to work while still monitoring his kids via hidden security cameras. 1983. A passcode that served as a constant reminder of why the cameras were so important, why he was down there in the first place. This was all to fulfill the promise that he had made to his son, right? I will put you back together. This was for him, all for him, right? But cameras weren't enough. He needed to solve the runaway Michael problem. He had to keep him in the house. He couldn't have another one of his kids wind up dead inside of an animatronic suit. So why not run a little experiment on Michael? You see, all this work with Henry had gotten Afton to start learning more about life, robots, the human mind, and what a fallible machine we as humans were. Our reality is so easy to manipulate with a few sensory deceptions. Deceptions like sound. With just a few sounds, he had discovered that he could alter a person's vision. He could transform blank, smooth plastic robots into lumbering, twisted nightmares. Nightmares far scarier than he could create with actual materials. They would appear organic, rotting, putrid, terrifying. These would be his means of keeping his son Michael in the house where he belonged. Was it extreme? Maybe. But then again, this was the boy who had killed his son. He would make
still
him sorry.
your
And
son
so Michael
too.
would grow up not only dealing with the memories of his own guilt, the hospital room, the pills, the flowers, the death of his brother, but also facing literal nightmares, illusions created by sound. Michael would never forget these either. Years later, as a security guard, he would still draw pictures of them inside of his logbook. But all of these extra projects meant that his home life suffered even more. He was an absent father and a non-existent husband, leaving his wife cold and alone.
Why do you hide inside your walls when there is music in my halls? All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb.
And despite her repeated demands that he leave his office and engage with the family, he refused time and time again, leaving her no choice but to leave.
You burned down my
She does need, that Pat needs therapy as well.
Morgan there. You need to see your son.
The baby isn't mine.
Well, how's this? I'm keeping the diamond ring.
And through it all, there was one lingering feeling. William wasn't done. He had gotten a taste of what it felt like to be unleashed, what it felt like to be free. Charlie's murder had unlocked something.
Roblox character, crazy.
More. June 26th, 1985. Putting on the golden Bonnie suit, he lured children one by one to the back room of the pizzeria when no one was looking. At first, he was cautious. He would lure them with promises of cake and cookies. He told them that their dog had died. He would ask for help with homework. Susie was the first. You never truly forget your first.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
But where to hide the bodies? He couldn't sneak out. Someone would see him. He had to hide them in a place where they'd never be found and where they'd never leave the building. They had to be stuffed inside of the suits. No one maintained those things anyway except for him. And so Susie would go into Chica. Fritz, Jeremy, and Gabriel would come next, but it was easy. It was too easy. And with each little life he snuffed out, his lies got bigger. Their house was burning. They're just being kidnapped. Until the last one, where all pretense was off, he let himself get violent. Too violent.
I'll just wait for him after school, throw a bag over his head, hit him with a shovel, and drag him into the back of my car.
The body of Cassidy was far more bloody and broken than any of the others. He'd let himself go too far. That one he shouldn't have killed. With no more active animatronics left, he shoved the body into the one suit that remained backstage. The long-forgotten yellow Fredbear, now broken and discolored with age. Broken, like Cassidy was broken, like his son was broken. Newspapers reported on this disappearance, naming the whole thing the missing children's incident. Police would even charge William with the crimes after finding security footage of the golden mascot suit luring kids to the back, but they couldn't convict him. They had no bodies, and his face had been hidden behind the mascot suit the entire time. What they had was circumstantial at best, and so he walked away a free man. But Henry knew the truth. In these murders, he saw his daughter Charlie all over again, so he threw Afton out of the company and shuttered the doors to the old pizzeria. Henry would keep the franchise quiet for 2 years. This would not happen again. This could not happen again. How could he protect the kids? Finally, he developed a solution. He would implement an even more extreme security system in the form of new animatronics, toy animatronics, inspired by the toys that they had been selling years ago. But these guys, these were special. They were a new breed of robot with facial recognition abilities.
But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away.
All the original animatronics, now withered with age, were moved to the new location. With a plan in place, it was time to try once more. The year was 1987, and the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was making headlines in local newspapers.
Everyone was just like, yeah, this is
that just so
fine.
happened to catch the attention of William Afton. Freddy's was back, and without him, that was his idea, his character. Henry was, yet again, trying to cut him out of the picture. No. As long as these restaurants stayed open, William would
I don't know, we don't know where the bodies are, but
then he noticed the phone number to apply at the bottom of the article. $100 a week to apply call. Afton would go back, not as an owner or co-founder. He would go back in the one place that they would least suspect him, a lowly day shift security guard. And there it was. Buried in the back of parts and services mixed in with the old withered animatronics was the golden rabbit. With the yellow security badge still on his chest, he used his crank to pull open the spring locks. It was time for Bonnie to give an encore performance.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available.
1987, 5 more kids. He didn't know what felt better, getting back into the suit after 2 long years of waiting, or knowing how devastating this would be to Henry the next morning. He didn't even try to hide his crime this time, just meant more blood on Henry's hands. He'd failed to protect the kids again. The restaurant had only been open for a few weeks, but William was sure that this would get it to close. Good, if he couldn't have Freddy's, no one would. Whenever a new pizzeria opened, he would be there. But as he sat in his bunker, something else started to linger in William's mind. He had seen something strange. The old withered animatronics, they had been wandering around the building, spurred on by the puppet. It was almost like those old robots were trying to save the kids. Save them? They couldn't, obviously, but still, how were they moving? It was almost like they had been given life somehow. Did he have something to do with that? The following day, the news would report a security guard getting bitten by one of the animatronics during the day shift. Was that bite meant for For him? William's curiosity was stronger now than his bloodlust. He had to learn more, but how? There was no way he'd ever be able to get inside another Freddy's Pizzeria. Heck, there was practically no way a Freddy's would ever open again. He needed to create something new, something brand new. He needed to create his own pizzeria.
Due to the massive success, and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set.
I remember this voice.
For another contender in children's entertainment.
Circus Baby's Pizza World. This would be the place where he could continue his work. No longer just murdering, experimenting. He needed more kids, and he needed them alive. And knowing that he couldn't show his face on the restaurant floor, he needed a way of remotely capturing his victims and preserving them for his work. With that goal in mind, he designed a new breed of animatronic. Their endoskeletons fluid and flexible. He equipped them with sound lures that could mimic voices. They could isolate children. They could incapacitate and contain them with zero direct input from him. It was brilliant.
This is normal people behavior, all right?
Far beyond the simple bars and wires of Henry's designs. And the characters he chose for this were uniquely his. His new roster wasn't going to be tainted by Henry's disgusting
very normal behavior.
Instead, it was back to his characters, his creations. Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, as well as two special ones. The first, Ballora, was an homage to the woman who left him. Now she would never leave him again. The second, the titular baby, was designed with his baby in mind. Elizabeth, his youngest child. She would always be
If you treated your wife right, maybe she wouldn't have left you.
The one that obeyed until the day that she didn't.
Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? She's so pretty and shiny. Didn't you make her just for me?
The day before Circus Baby's Pizza World opened, she disobeyed. She didn't listen. Left alone with Baby, she got too close. The animatronic ripped in half and swallowed her whole. A scared and confused child fading into eternal darkness. By the time Afton found her, it was too late. She was gone. He immediately canceled the launch of Circus Babies under the guise of a gas leak. But wait, as he sat there at the foot of the stage, he noticed that something was different. The eye color of the robot had changed. Baby had been built with blue eyes, but now they were emerald green, the same color as Elizabeth's. Was she in there? Could this all be connected to the free-moving animatronics that he had seen at Freddy's? He had to know more. His mourning turned to excitement. He had to return to where it all started. 1993. Pathetic. This place was pathetic. Henry had clearly tried to reopen one final time with those old original animatronics from so long ago, but William's damage to the brand had been permanent. These things stank of death. They hadn't been washed in decades. But even if they had, nothing could wash away the stink of murder that haunted these halls. One night, then another, then another. William repeatedly snuck into the old broken restaurant to lure the living animatronics to him, one by one dismantling them, robbing them of their endoskeletons. The metal had to be the secret. It had to contain the remnants of life itself. But he had to know for sure. Leaping out of a room that was invisible to the animatronics programming, he dragged the oversized robotic skeletons back to his underground workshop, back to where Circus Baby watched on with glowing, curious eyes. Eyes that somehow felt alive. Not knowing what else to do, William melted the robotic parts down. 5 animatronic endoskeletons reduced down to one silvery puddle of goo. Could he transfer this living metal to his own creations? He had to try. He picked up a syringe and filled it with the molten metal and injected the goo into Funtime Freddy's twisted, wiry endoskeleton. And suddenly the coils came to life. Like snakes writhing in a pile, what had once been cold, lifeless metal moved and jolted on its own. He'd done it! He had unlocked the secret to life itself. Except something was clearly wrong. The movements were erratic. They were violent, angry. Baby didn't act this way. She had been calm, collected. This was clearly something else, something mindless and frantic. Perhaps by mixing the souls and then portioning them out, he had created incomplete beasts. He would need to keep testing to truly understand it. He needed more of this remnant. As he searched the old pizzeria one more time for any remaining scraps of metal, the ghosts attacked. His past victims come to collect their due, all led by Cassidy. The 5 lined up and blocked the door, and Afton's mind reeled. The scientific implications of this were incredible. Ghosts, real ghosts that he could see, all standing against him. But what could they do? What couldn't they do? He panicked as Cassidy approached. How do you stop something that's already dead? Maybe with the thing that resulted in their death in the first place. He would get into his suit like old times. He would regain his power over them just like the day that they died. He was the genius. He was the one in the suit. He was the one in charge. The spring lock snapped into place. Maybe it was his frantic movements. Maybe it was the leaky abandoned restaurant. Maybe it was just fate coming to collect its due. He didn't know. The only thing he did know was that his brain was suddenly filled with searing white-hot pain as hundreds of metallic pins and gears stabbed into his body from all sides. All he could do was collapse, blood slowly oozing out of the suit and pooling onto the floor around him. It couldn't end like this. It wouldn't end like this. His work was unfinished. Unable to move, his only option was to survive, to live, to keep living. It took days lying in his own blood, but eventually someone found him, a security guard making a normal report. When he saw the animatronics torn apart in the middle of the party room floor, it caused him to file an immediate report of a break-in. An owner would have to come in and claim the damage, and who else would it be other than Henry? Hope jumped in Afton's heart. Henry would see him. They were partners after all. He would be the one to help save him, to get him out of this suit, to relieve him from this tremendous pain. Henry entered the secret room. His eyes fell on Afton sitting there in the pool of red, and Henry, saying nothing, turned and walked away.
This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. Management also requests this room not be used by family, friends, or insurance representatives.
And so there Afton would sit, hanging on for 30 years, trapped
Hanging
behind
on?
the walls with an iron will that refused to die. End of this part. I say this part because it's not officially the end of the Afton era just yet, but this just felt like a really solid stopping point, and the episode has gone on forever. Okay, so most of this is things that we already knew, stuff that's been established and re-established time and time again by the games. That said, there are two things that I absolutely have to address. The first and biggest is the placement of sister location, or more specifically, Elizabeth's death. To me, evidence in game seems to suggest that it was meant to come before the crying child's death in 1983. The biggest clue to this is that the crying child saw something. Remember what you saw is the phrase that's repeated over and over again by psychic friend Fredbear, aka William Afton speaking through a walkie-talkie in the Fredbear plushie's stomach. But what did he see? Well, I think we can tell based on how the nightmare animatronics are visualized. They have mouths in their stomachs, just like Baby ripping in half at the waist to swallow a kid. There's also the empty girl's room, one presumably left behind by a dead sister. And lastly, it explains why he's scared, and more specifically why Afton wants him scared. He needs his kids to stay away from the animatronics. He doesn't want them getting too close because the last time one of his kids got too close to a robot, his daughter died. That's then why he sets up the nightmares, to scare both Mike and the crying child away from the animatronics from that point forward. That's why books like the Character Encyclopedia outright suggest that we play as the crying child in FNAF 4. That's why he has a nanny cam following the crying child everywhere, so he can keep tabs on his kids when they're out of his sight. He can't let another Elizabeth situation happen. The death of Elizabeth also gives William Afton extra motivation for killing. He's a grieving father. His daughter was taken away from him, so Charlie should die as well. He's lashing out at the world after losing his kids. And again, we know that at least one of his children had to have died prior to Charlie's death, based on the mound of dirt that we see in Midnight Motorist. It also allows circus babies to open and close earlier in the timeline, which is how you wind up with Funtime Foxy appearing as Mangle in the FNAF 2 location. Basically, Elizabeth dying first has everything it needs to fit, except for the most important thing, the murder weapon. Why would Afton be building an animatronic with a giant claw in its stomach so early in the timeline? At this point, he just has no motive. It just doesn't make sense prior to 1983. At this point in the story, he hasn't killed anyone, and we know for a fact that the missing children's incident is 1985. So Elizabeth's death coming before any of those events just doesn't work, hence why I placed it where I did in the narrative timeline. Afton's death here is also a bit tricky. We know that he returned to the FNAF 1 location to break down the original animatronics in order to harvest their remnant. We know that he melts down 5 things to become one thing. Candy Cadet makes that very clear. So the 5 things are the 5 endoskeletons from the various animatronics. That would be totally fine if it weren't for one huge problem. On his 5th visit to the pizzeria, Afton gets spring locked. So either the 5 becoming 1 starts in 1993, but then finishes 30 years later when he reemerges from the wall to add the last endoskeleton to his pile,
I've heard that this is like
had himself
an
some
extremely
reason to return
messy
to the original
timeline.
location after harvesting all the stuff that he can. It's not ideal, but it's the one angle that makes the most sense. And with that, this next chapter comes to a close, thereby leaving us with 5 more games to cover and another 40 plus years of Fazbear history to recap. Ooh, when you put it that way, something tells me that this might balloon into 4 parts. Ugh, we'll see. Anyway,
it is 4
until
parts.
then, my Faz heads,
I'm gonna be so prepared for the movie. Okay, part 3.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to
this has like a
Game
billion
Theory and page
entry,
20
doesn't it?
of
No,
our final
intro isn't
FNAF
too long.
timeline. This is getting ridiculous. Last time we covered William Afton's rise as a serial killer. How the loss of his young son in 1983 caused him to make one fateful promise that would ultimately serve as his driving force for decades. I will put you back together. Fueled by grief and obsession, Afton would lose himself in work and drinks. One night in a fit of rage, he lashes out against Henry's young daughter Charlie, his first murder. This moment becomes the first domino to fall in a long sequence of events that ultimately destroys William's life and the lives of those around him. That one murder gives Afton a taste for blood, resulting in the deaths of 10 more children across 2 different pizzerias. Those children go on to possess animatronics.
This all could have
giving
been stopped
Afton
if he
his
just
first
went to
exposure
therapy.
Remnant and the potential solution for bringing his son back to life. The need to learn more about this miraculous power leads
Or
him
maybe
to produce
jail.
the Funtime animatronics,
Either
as well as
or.
their capture devices. Robots designed to bring kids to him for experimentation and collection of more remnant. Except there was one thing that he didn't account for: his daughter's curiosity. He made the robots too appealing, and it would cost him Elizabeth's life. Now with 2 children to put back together, Afton was more desperate and crazed than ever, returning to defunct pizzerias to steal the
Yeah,
possessed
at this
metal
point, I
still
think
living
jail would
inside
probably
their
be
walls.
best.
What he didn't account for, though, were the ghosts, forcing him to pay for the sins of his past. When last we left him, William was spring-locked, bleeding to death behind a secret wall. Gone, but certainly not forgotten, as we're about to see in today's video. Today, we're finishing up Chapter 2 of our story, wrapping up the Afton era. Over the next 6 pages, we switch our focus to the other main character of the franchise, Mike, a young boy dealing with the fallout of a stupid childhood decision with tragic
What he
consequences.
didn't account
A young man
for
whose life
were
is best
ghosts.
described as collateral damage, caught in the blast radius of William's whirlwind of destruction.
This
Before
one
we
at
begin, let me just
least
rip off the
needs
Band-Aid now.
therapy.
We won't be finishing the timeline today. I know,
Damn.
I'm sorry, I wanted to, but covering FNAF VR, AR, and Security Breach wound up taking me an additional 9 pages of script. And I've already made you wait long enough for this part, so I just had to make the executive call to break this one up into 2. Don't worry, that part is already written, it is already recorded, it is just in the process of being edited. It is a hefty episode. So mark it on your calendar, that one's actually going to be going live on March 25th. It's also coming complete with a live talk back where we go back over everything from the past couple episodes, as well as having ourselves some very special guests. So
I love a
overall,
special
that
guest.
would be a lot of fun. Fair warning though, the conclusions we've reached that solve Security Breach, they are controversial. I feel good about them. Like, I think that we've locked in on a lot of the answers here, but they're gonna raise a lot of discussion. Let's just say that you're either gonna love that episode or hate it. I don't really think there's gonna be much in between on that one. Anyway, without any further ado, let's cover a chunk of the timeline that's a lot less controversial. Let's meet Mike. William still wasn't back. Weird. Michael knew his father sometimes traveled for work, disappearing for days on end, but usually there was some sort of notice, a phone call, a post-it, something. It's not like Michael and his father were close, far from it, but as a household of 2 suffering men coping with years of tragedy and loss, there was at least some element of communication between the 2 of them. They were united by a name and a shared pain. This time though, things felt different. William had left nothing. His absence was longer. There were no check-ins, no updates, just silence. Something had happened. If there was one thing Michael knew about his father, it was that he had contingencies, safety checks, backup plans. His father was a careful and guarded man. He held his cards close to his chest, and as such, William had prepared him in the event that something like this ever happened. Normally, his father kept his home office locked, but in the event of an unexpected, prolonged absence, Michael had been instructed to enter his father's office and look behind an empty set of shelves mounted in the corner of the room. Rolling his eyes, Michael entered the office. He never fully understood how William was able to spend so many hours of his days locked up in here. There was just nothing to do. Most of this place was empty. He dragged himself over to the shelf in the corner, expecting to find an emergency contact list, a family safety deposit box. But what he actually found there was completely unexpected.
Freddy Fazbear.
It's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be.
Why
The
does he
shelf swung
sound
open
so
and
old?
revealed a giant industrial elevator, one that led straight down into an underground bunker. But that was impossible. Hidden inside his childhood home was a secret entrance to an enormous underground science lair.
What was this? I
didn't
remember
make any
those
sense.
windows.
Seriously, it didn't make any sense. And yet, here it was, mapped directly underneath the floor plan of the house that he'd grown up in, lost his brother in, been tortured in. Michael thought that he'd known his father, a prideful, sad, angry man with petty, everyday problems, but clearly he'd been living with a stranger this entire time. His father had secrets. Suddenly, the days of William being locked inside of his office made sense. He'd been here the entire time. Where was here, though? Was this Circus Babies Entertainment and Rentals? The Circus Baby restaurant always did seem to be a deeply personal project for Father, a failure of his that cut unusually deep, especially after that first location had to be closed prematurely due to the gas leaks. After that day, Father really did seem to change.
Did he not know that his sister died?
Even more in his work. Clearly, the entrance he had found was some sort of secret back way into the facility, one that required crawling through vents to navigate. His father had been working here, but in secret. Why? And that's when he found her. At the end of the facility, Circus Baby.
He did
his
know,
father's
okay.
pride and joy. Except something was different about her. She wasn't like the others. The way she talked, the stories she told. This wasn't just a robot. She was alive.
A spooky
somehow.
robot.
And not only was she alive, she also felt familiar.
There is something bad inside of me. I'm broken. I can't be fixed. Will you help me?
Was this his sister? William's baby girl? But how? Why? What was this place? He dug around some old files and found blueprints outlining the features of these animatronics. Storage containers, voice mimicking, parental tracking. And was that a child in Freddy's stomach? Was his father collecting and experimenting on kids? Were all the rumors that he'd heard throughout his past actually true? That the animatronics came to life at night? That there were murders done in all the pizzerias? That his father had somehow been the prime suspect in all of it? Suddenly, Michael's mind flashed
Yeah,
back
I
to
would
his
be concerned if he
persistent
didn't
nightmares
know.
throughout his childhood.
But the
Had
way
he been
that
experimented on
Pat
too? Tears
worded it
stung in
made
his
it sound
eyes
like
as
he didn't
anger,
know.
Fear and confusion filled his body. His father's secrets were pouring out. William wasn't just a lame, overworked father. He was
The
a monster
murderer.
toying with life itself. Suddenly, everything clicked. He frantically looked around the room, blinking human heads on poles staring back at him. Green eyes, his sister. Blue eyes, his brother. Closed eyes, his mom. All just staring expectantly. These
That's
were
fucked
meant to
up.
be human. William was working down here trying to make believable humans, literally rebuilding the family that they had both lost. The small little girl robots with their British accents roaming the hallways of this underground facility suddenly
They
took
were
on a whole new
British?
context.
Hello in there. Is it the same person?
Were those meant to be his sister? A replacement for her? A clone? Was William building clones of his sister?
The
They seemed
British
to
is a
know him, after
surprise.
all, to react to his presence.
They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you.
He always did have a bit of a resemblance to his father. Michael's mind reeled as the reality of his world crumbled to dust. No, he
Yeah, but-
had to get them out of there. If this really was his sister,
That's kinda
heck,
funny.
If any of these
To
things
retcon the
were
British.
human, souls, whatever remnant of the humans that they once were, they needed to be rescued.
They always put us back inside. There's nowhere for us to hide here.
Led by the voice of Circus Baby, he marched through the now empty halls of the Funtime Auditorium. He would lead them. He would protect them. And finally, he would be able to forgive himself for the killing of his brother so many years.
Oh no.
You are in the scooping room now. The scooper only hurts for a moment.
Scooper? That violent extraction arm? Michael had seen that one in the pile of blueprints. Something about heat rendering the magical silver metal inside useless. In reality, prior to getting himself spring-locked and put behind the wall, William's methods had become increasingly sophisticated, with a mechanized arm that could infuse new bodies with a soul. William could finally give and take away life. The only thing he needed were the bodies. But William wasn't the only one looking for bodies, as Michael was about to learn.
But if we looked like you, then we could hide. If we looked like you, then we would have somewhere to go.
Michael was going to be the hero to help these animatronics, all right. He was going to help the haunted tubes and wires of these animatronics escape, just not in the way that he anticipated. His sister had lied to him, another game of pretend. The scooper plowed forward, digging its extraction arm into his body. As he heard his bones ripping through his flesh, Michael blacked out.
Something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not.
And now he's purple.
For the next several months, Michael's life was not his own. He was forced to comply with the tangle of wires and spirits that lived inside of him. His body felt like an overfilled balloon begging to burst as day by day, week by week, his flesh began to sag and discolor. He was a walking, talking, rotting corpse, alive, but wishing he wasn't. He was a puppet, a walking shell. And while he did his best to conceal his fate, there was only so much a man filled with robot spaghetti could do. The entity
I didn't
in
know
his
about
innards
this. I've
would
never heard
eventually
this.
leave, but By that point, the damage had been done. His decaying flesh stank, turning him into a literal purple guy. Still, even with no bones, even with rotting purple flesh and begging to die, Michael continued to live. That silvery metal remnant injected by the scooper meant that he couldn't die. His anger also refused to die. What he had seen down there in his sister's location had rocked him to his core. His father had killed and captured dozens. His experiments had killed his sister and then tortured him throughout all his childhood. He was actively trying to build human replicants. He didn't know where his father was, but Michael knew that he was out there somewhere.
I've been living in shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you.
Michael had to correct for the sins of his father. He had to make things right. Michael would burn Fazbear
Mike sounds like the name of a drink.
I mean, what else could you do when your skin was permanently purple? Michael's strategy was simple. He would apply for night security guard positions at the old defunct pizzeria locations. That way, no one ever had to see him or smell him during his shift. And all these old, shuttered locations did need guards. Teenage vandals and squatters were always looking to get inside these abandoned buildings, and yet no one ever really wanted to work an overnight graveyard shift unless they were practically out of options. Enter Mike. One by one, he would take on the job of security guard, changing his name each time to ensure that no one was able to follow his paper trail. Once inside, he could tamper with the animatronics and figure out how they worked, writing about his experiences in his security logbook. While there, he would listen to the old tapes where upper management awkwardly welcomed new recruits to their summer jobs, even though he was working there nowhere near the summer months. He heard the gory details of his father's franchise from the outsiders looking in, confused and afraid about what was happening in the walls around them. Sometimes he would see his brother in the form of the Golden Freddy suit. It's me appearing on the walls around him. Except now, there was something else there. He was no longer alone. Another angrier presence was also in the suit, as if two spirits were forced to share the same body. And Golden Freddy would attack him now. It was aggressive. Its vengeance wanted to lash out at anyone with the Afton name, anyone who wore a security guard outfit. Over time, Mike worked his way through the old restaurants, the original pizzeria, the bigger, better Freddy Fazbear's. He spent weeks there looking for clues as to his father's whereabouts, and each time at the end of his week shift, he would then set the location on fire. Remnant can't survive high temperatures after all. So burning away whatever spirit-laden animatronics that still existed inside seemed like a winning strategy.
Forehead on that Freddy.
Revisiting of his past, though, was causing the nightmares to begin again. Hallucinations that brought him back to his childhood. The guilt around killing his brother. His dreams were oddly mixed with the shrill phone calls of the security guards. But it would all be worth it in the end. The goal was to eventually stumble across the one location, the one job that would finally reunite him with his father. Little did Mike know that that day would come sooner than he expected. 2023, an advertisement came across Mike's TV. Fazbear Frights, a new horror attraction inspired by the awful crimes that occurred around Freddy Fazbear's Pizza so many years ago. It made Mike sick. People looking to make a quick buck off the tragedy
that is kind of fucked up.
off his own family. This wasn't a joke or entertainment. Regardless, he had to be a part of it. If this team was combing through his family's history, they might stumble across something that could be useful. And if his father was truly still alive as he suspected, there would be no way that he wouldn't show up here. Maybe finally this could be the final chapter in his family's marathon of
tragedy. A little bit messed up to just profit off of a bunch of deaths of children like that. Oh my god.
Rarely received thorough security checks.
They
also
look
liked
human?
how creepy Mike looked. They thought it was a costume, on theme for the job. What little they knew.
Hey, glad you came back for another night. I promise
What
it'll be
chain
a
is
lot
this?
more interesting this time.
For weeks, there was nothing. But just as Mike considered giving up, he received the call that he'd been waiting for years.
You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one.
Could this finally be him? Sure enough, there he was. William inside his iconic golden Bonnie Springlock suit, only now it was green and decaying with age. And there they were, a small family of broken men finally reunited.
Pixie, thank you for the follow.
Mike
Welcome
had
in. I
always
hope you enjoy
struggled
your
with the phantoms of
stay.
his past haunting him, but now all the animatronics he'd encountered over the past months, hopping from pizzeria to pizzeria, suddenly sprang to life. Their burned faces haunting him as he tried to keep track of his father on the cameras. It would seem that William's mere presence had put the spirits on high alert. Ultimately, they were harmless, more annoying than anything else, but there was one that felt different from the others. One that was more than just a mere phantom. The security
Zombie.
If he looked at the cameras at just the right moment, he could see it floating there through the halls. He could even see its reflection in the water pooled on the ground.
I hate that guy.
That
was
the only
spooky.
one there on a mission. While he was dealing with Springtrap, Michael assumed that this one was likely dealing with the spirits of this place, finally setting them to rest. Hopefully this means a happier day for all of us, Mike thought to himself. And in that moment, he felt the air around him release, like pressure being let out of a bottle. The building sighed, as if 5 spirits had finally been allowed to move on. He had the sense that his brother was a part of them. He rigged the wiring inside the building to misfire, and the dry, desiccated walls erupted in flames. It is finished.
So you go to therapy now?
Except it was not. Somehow, through sheer force of will, Afton remained. He had survived, and Mike would need to find a new way of finishing off his father. Luckily, the solution would present itself later that year. Not from Mike, but from another victim that had been left in his father's wake.
We're talking about becoming a Fazbear Entertainment franchisee. Restaurant ownership and management. Something almost anyone can do with a limited degree of success. You are now the face of the newly rebranded Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Fazbear Entertainment as a brand had been closed for years.
I've seen them like an animatronic.
The only person who legally could bring the franchise back was Henry, but he'd largely pulled out of the franchise around the time of his father's disappearance.
Yeah, that's fair.
Surely this had to be some kind of a trick, right? Mike, doing what he did best, applied for a franchise and immediately got the job. There was just one thing out of the ordinary.
You're purple?
Paragraph 4.
If you are playing this tape, that means that not only have you been checking outside at the end of every shift, as you were instructed to do, but also that you have found something that meets the criteria of your special obligations under paragraph 4.
No employment contract he'd ever signed required him to keep special lookout for independently moving animatronics outside the restaurant. Now he knew something was up here. Henry was luring them all back. Rather than trying to go to them, like Mike had done for years, Henry was doing the opposite. He was putting them all under the same roof. He was finishing them off for good. Mike knew this wasn't meant to be a restaurant. It was meant to be a prison, a containment vessel, a locked box meant to trap them all in so they could finally end the madness. It took a few nights, but eventually everyone was there. His father, the puppet, the robot spaghetti that had once violated his body, and his sister, now hopelessly devoted to serve the man that had once gotten her killed. It was time. He had been instructed to seal the doors and leave, but while he locked everything down, he didn't move on. If this was truly meant to be the end, if the remnant needed to be washed away, he needed to be a part of that.
This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you, although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace and perhaps more waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
And with that, it was over. The Afton legacy died with all of them trapped inside of a literal box. As the flames danced around the office, Mike, for the first time in decades,
which game was this one?
Happy. But William wasn't gone yet. Although the darkest pit of hell was open and waiting for him, something or someone wouldn't allow him to move on. Instead, he found himself locked in moments from his past. The pizzeria, his son's room, his underground bunker. It was as if his brain's neurons were all firing at once, overloaded, mixing and matching all his biggest fears, regrets.
I don't know anything about that one.
What was this place? How did he get here? He called out into the silence. Then they started coming. Without warning, animatronics, both new and old, began to jump out at him, bite him, rip him limb from limb. The pain was immeasurable.
Wait, is Pizza Simulator the one that, like, is so hard that it ends in, like, literal seconds?
An end to this torture, just as it felt like he couldn't take it anymore.
Or is that a fan-made one? Because I don't know. I remember seeing a TikTok about that recently.
Of quiet, and then the onslaught began again. Dozens of faces from his past, all focused on him. A waking nightmare that he couldn't escape from. More pain, more ripping. It was his own personal hell, but why? Why couldn't he just die? And then he saw them, a group of characters he never thought he'd see again. Those janky, stolen characters that had started everything. The mediocre melodies. It had all started to go wrong once they showed up. Once Henry had made them. But mixed in with their obnoxious southern drawls, William heard something else. It was barely a whisper, but he could just make out the words.
He tried to release you. He tried to release us. But I'm not gonna let that happen. I will hold you here.
I like this elephant.
I will keep you here.
He's a funny guy.
No matter how
I like his
many
nose.
times they burn us.
That voice. He knew that voice, but from where?
Pumpkin?
The one he shouldn't have killed. William thought back. He'd done a lot of awful things, but there was always the one that stood out. Not Charlie, his drunken act of revenge. Not Susie, his first true murder, no. Instead, it was the one that he had lost control with. The one that he had broken beyond repair for no good reason other than because he could. The one that he'd stuffed inside the golden bear that his partner used to wear. Cassidy. They were back, and now they were trying to punish him, to make him suffer like he'd made them suffer. It was almost like William and Cassidy's souls had been locked together, fused by a collective rage and spite, each refusing to move on. But while Cassidy was so focused on taking revenge, they actually did the one thing that would be the downfall for so many others.
Non-binary legend, I guess.
Alive. Even though fire should have destroyed the remnant that was coursing through his being, Cassidy kept William breathing, paving the way for his escape. William's will was so strong, his soul so powerful that he managed to put a part of himself inside the circuitry that housed the spring-lock suit, and there his consciousness lay inside a single circuit board, waiting for someone to find him and set him free, a person that no one would suspect. Okay, so a bit of a shorter chunk, but an important one as we shift perspectives to Mike and tell his side of the story. And with FNAF VR, AR, and Security Breach having so much to explain, I didn't want to rush through things by trying to cram it all in here. Don't worry, I know you've all been patient. The final video is happening on March 25th.
We're really just watching a whole bunch of just FNAF lore on a Wednesday night.
But before we wrap up for the day, I did want to talk about the big Orville elephant in the room, Mike's quest for revenge. You might have noticed that I was vague about the dates, and there's a good reason for that. I don't know them. There is no good way for me to make them fit in. Here's what I do know.
Hello,
we know with a high amount of
welcome
certainty
in.
that
Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your stay. We're just finishing up our FNAF lore.
For FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 respectively get fired for, quote, tampering with the animatronics and odor. So weird connection between the two of them, right? But now, look at the phantom animatronics that are haunting us in FNAF 3. They use models from both FNAF 1 and FNAF 2, meaning whoever is sitting in that security guard chair, Fazbear Frights, they have to have seen both locations and their animatronics. And that's not all. Their designs are burnt. It's a weird detail in the game, and it's something that the character encyclopedia repeatedly calls attention to. The burned texture for these phantom animatronics. Why is that so unusual though? Fazbear Frights is the first
I imagine the movie is going to like retcon
from that point on in the story, it's like the character
that, or it's gonna like be in a timeline of its own.
But for the first 3 games, nothing ever catches fire. The animatronics are just moved or repurposed.
Like I would be.
So when did
there's
they
no
burn?
way they can fit all of this into one movie.
Being burned. Someone has to have been going location to location, setting these
there's way
on
too
fire,
much to cover in a movie. In a trilogy, maybe.
We know we're definitely playing as Mike and sister location in FNAF 6 based on the in-game dialogue. And in FNAF 4, there's an Easter egg where we can hear the phone call from Night 1 of FNAF 1, meaning that whoever's in that bedroom has heard the recording as a security guard. We also know that Mike has seen the nightmare animatronics based on his drawings in the security logbook. So overall, there is solid evidence that connects all of FNAFs 1 through 6. You'll also notice how the character encyclopedia doesn't have a page for Mike Afton. This thing has a page for Chocolate Bunny Bonnie, but not Michael. Some tells me they don't want us to confirm how many games he's been in, because that would confirm too much of the theory. In short, this gives us an incredibly compelling and complete narrative. Mike as our protagonist, and William, his father, as our antagonist. Mike accidentally kills his brother in Fredbear's mouth, which begins our story and sets William down his pathway of destruction. Mike is then haunted by the guilt of his past and is looking to make things right across the rest of the
it would
game.
be so long.
In sister location,
though, like, I would be totally down for like a movie trilogy.
Correct it. After failing to finish the job in FNAF 3, he ultimately helps Henry end it all in FNAF 6. It is great. It is a clean narrative. There is just one problem: timing. Mike's quest can't really start until he's been down to sister location, seen baby, and gotten himself scooped. That's when he finds out about
does he play Mike?
Life. It's also when he's gonna start to smell, because
What are the rings for Gen Z?
And we know that he's not going down into the bunker until the funtime animatronics have been made. Freddy's has been closed, and Afton is out of the picture. That all should be happening post 1993, after William is sealed behind a wall. But that then presents us with a few problems. Afton has already dismantled the original animatronics that we see in the FNAF 3 minigame.
Josh Hutcherson, he's like the protagonist, so I assume that he's Mike. I just didn't know any of the names. I knew that it's theorized
to be fair, Fritz Smith's pink slip
Shaggy is William, but I didn't know who Josh Hutcherson was supposed to be.
Then employee number 3 is hired.
I assume it's Mike
after
now.
The restaurant closes. Anyway, just wanted to call that out because I don't have a solid answer for it, and
because I know he is like confirmed to be the protagonist.
And with that, my friends, this chapter comes to a close.
We can watch. They like put out official trailer. I actually haven't seen the trailer, so maybe we should like finish with the trailer after the force.
What those games were trying to tell us. Until then, my Faz heads, remember, even though Afton kinda succeeded in being brought back to life, gotta admit, he's still looking a little bit on the dry, dehydrated side. I suppose 3 fires and being dead for a decade will tend to do that to you. Fortunately, thanks to today's sponsor, Air, we think we can help him out with the hydration thing, not the whole burning alive thing. You guys know that I hate drinking plain water. It's just boring. And that then led me to my current crippling Diet Coke addiction. However, Air Up has found a way to harness the power of science to get me to drink more water, which not only do I love in principle, that I can truly say it's changed
Number 4.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
Someone else
and
is a copyright trouble?
Part of my FNAF
Okay.
timeline where
Thank you
today
for the
we're
tip.
bringing our story to a close by talking about the most complicated and controversial part of the timeline, the part that I've been dreading most of all, the end. The moment where we're finally forced to come to some definitive and difficult answers trying to explain what the heck we were watching.
I imagine like DMCA would get the audio.
Have been about death.
Twitch I don't think goes after really like video stuff. I mean maybe
of the franchise.
I mean if you stream like an entire movie, it's probably gonna go after that, but like
and literally burn it all down. Today's episode, though, and the current end of this franchise,
I can watch it privately after.
Rebirth, the return of old characters in new forms, and the controversial rebirth of a franchise entering the next era of its story. But before we hop into the timeline, due to scheduling conflicts, I won't be able to have any live talk back after this episode. I know, I promised one, I was really excited about it, but I just couldn't make it work with my schedule and all the other guests' schedules. That said, I still do plan on doing one over the coming weeks with special guests. Just make sure that you're subscribed and either have all notifications turned on, or you're just watching our community tab for the announcement as to when that's gonna happen. And now, without any further ado, we finally reach the end and a new beginning to our story.
Post purple guy.
Fazbear Entertainment was dead.
There is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity.
Yippee!
Paid. All assets redistributed. The company was outright dissolved. Even the memories of the horrors that had happened there started to fade away in the public consciousness. The people were gone too. William was dead. Henry was gone. A whole generation of young Emilys and Aftons had lost their lives to the horrors of the
bird screaming?
pizzeria.
It's 11
All of them
p.m.
collateral damage to the man in the bunny suit. Everyone the company had ever touched was dead and gone. Well, all except one.
Hey, what's Henry up to?
Support, you deadbeat! I'm keeping the diamond ring. I also set the house
Oh,
on
the mom
fire.
is alive?
Clara Afton. She'd been there in the early days, back when things with William were good. They'd had the perfect home, a thriving business, the ideal family. But shortly after their youngest son died, things started to change. William had become distant, lost in his work, obsessive. She had watched him change from this irritatingly brilliant man that she had fallen in love with to a drunken monster struggling to hold himself together. And despite her trying to reach out to him in those desperate days, he was just too far gone.
Spooky.
Admit it, you wanted to let me in.
For her sake, she had to leave the relationship, and from there, she largely faded into obscurity. A mystery from William's past, a footnote in his history, and that was fine for her. She wanted to leave that part of her life behind. She tried to move forward, never wanting to hear the name Freddy Fazbear again, a time defined by mistakes and broken promises. But then, the paperwork started to arrive. As Fazbear Entertainment began to close as a corporate entity, suddenly her mail was flooded with notifications, requests, obligations. She had been there since the beginning, helping William in the early days of his business, and now, as a shareholder and sole living member of the Afton family, all copyrights and trademarks of both Afton Robotics and Fazbear Entertainment passed on to her. Memories of this past life that she had long left behind. Looking at the blueprints, the contracts, the memos, she felt
she should get therapy
to reopen. The regrets of a happy family that had been torn away from her. William had always been brilliant. That's what had attracted her to him in the first place. But he'd also been too blinded by obsession and pride. He was too jealous, too petty, too unable to actually see a bigger picture. But now, holding the paperwork that contained decades of heartbreak and trauma, she realized it was her turn. She was holding the power. This was her chance. And one thought resonated in her head. I will put them back together. I will put them
Can't this family be normal?
Together. She would be the one to rebuild this family, to rebuild the pieces of that shattered life, to reclaim the kids that Fazbear had stolen from her. But how? Looking at William's work now laid out before her, she knew that he had been onto something, collecting remnant, robotic humanoids, digital conscience transference. The pieces were all in place, they were just scattered, fragmented. It was almost like there were too many ideas going in too many different directions. It was such an important idea that she reiterated that point to herself. There were too many ideas going in too many different directions. That said, there had to be a way to save it all. She just needed to put it all back together. But how? To rebuild her family, she would first need to rebuild the franchise that had stolen them away from her. With ownership over the characters, their licenses, the technology patents, and the Fazbear name, she converted the corporation back to an LLC, a structure for smaller businesses that are usually family-owned. the irony was
Meta
fitting.
commentary
From there,
there.
she would need remnant, and lots of it. Remnant was the key. Clearly, in the later years of his life, William had been using Circus Babies Entertainment and Rentals as a remnant farm, sending robots to kids' birthday parties in the hopes of nabbing bits of the stuff here and there. But clearly, it wasn't enough. He had, what, like 4, maybe 5 animatronics going out every week? No. It was a decent idea, but to get the remnant they required, it needed scale. Dozens, hundreds of animatronics all out there, all gathering remnant from unsuspecting customers. But to do that would require help, something William would never ask for. William had kept everything in-house. His obsession with control limited him. Clara, though, she wasn't nearly that precious. A plan like this required partners, people outside of Fazbear to do the heavy lifting. So
More
she
than
contacted
William,
a
yeah.
mid-sized delivery company, DLZ Shipping Solutions, to help build replicas of all the original animatronics. And with meal delivery apps being all the rage, why not an animatronic delivery service? Order one to celebrate your birthday, your Halloween party. How about a 4th of July picnic? We'll invite Liberty Chica and 4th of July Freddy on over. She would make sure that they made skins for every occasion. Chocolate
Well, that's what the
Bonnies
chocolate
for Easter,
bunny-
Shamrock Freddy's for St. Patrick's Day, Dia de los Muertos Chicas. And thus,
That's
the
kinda cool,
Fazbear
though.
Funtime service was born.
That's right. With the Fazbear Funtime service, you'll never be alone again. You'll always have someone watching your back.
Was it ridiculous? Absolutely. Was it a sellout?
Markiplier.
No doubt. It was exactly the sort of thing that William would have hated, but it needed to be done to get enough remnant. Normally, the novelty of ordering an animatronic wore off after like what, 1, maybe 2 times? But with new skins for new holidays, suddenly you had yourself an animatronic perfect for every occasion. It would keep people hooked. It would keep them ordering the latest and greatest
I'm a huge
that
fan of the
Fazbear Entertainment
Markiplier
LLC
cameo.
had to offer. And all the while, they'd be collecting and returning the remnant back to her. In a word, it was brilliant. There was just one problem with it. No one trusted the Fazbear name. The company's brand
Yes, fair.
was still mud in the public eye. No one would want to hire animatronics from the restaurant franchise known for murdering children.
Yeah.
Nothing kills a party quite like the threat of death, you know. So she needed to find a way to discredit the stories that had come before. She needed to win back the public's affections, reactivate some nostalgia for the spooky stories of their childhoods. She needed a game. Multiple games, in fact.
They lied to us. They lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer. But that's not true at all. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
Struggling game developers were a dime a dozen online, most working on their magnum opus between shifts at the Dollar General. So she found one. Steve just picked him out of obscurity, the right mix of desperate and doofus willing to say and do anything for a couple extra bucks. And he fell right in line, as expected, delivering stupid little things with dumb generic names like Mangle's Quest, Balloon Boy's Air Adventure, Five Nights at Freddy's. Bad gameplay with even worse graphics, but hey, they got the job done. People were suddenly talking about the clues inside of these things, searching for the hidden lore. They were actively making jokes about dead kids at pizzerias. Her husband's twisted history of serial murder had suddenly been reduced to a mere Nancy Drew mystery to be solved. The plan had worked. Freddy Fazbear's was suddenly more popular than ever. Things were going shockingly well. Her takeover and reboot of the franchise was full and complete. Suddenly infused with cash, she built the largest, most ambitious project yet, the Mega Pizzaplex. William had always been so visionary, but always thought so small scale. He was careful to a fault. Not her, though. She knew that this latest project needed to be big. It needed to be flashy. It needed to be a palace for children. A place that got people talking and checking out the latest in Fazbear products. So with a steady supply of remnant flowing in, it was finally time. The stage was set. It was time to get to her real goal, literally rebuilding a family. March 2035. The first was obvious. The crying child, her little boy, the one that was the first to get ripped away from her. She'd seen down in his bunker that William had gotten very close to replicating artificial humans using animatronic technology. And so that's exactly what she would do. Rebuild her boy from the ground up using robotic parts. His shaggy brown hair, his favorite striped shirt, even down to small details that no one would notice, like the band-aid on his left knee. William's research had even found ways of making animatronics that could bleed and process food, making them virtually indestructible indistinguishable from a typical human. He would never have any idea of what he actually was unless he was explicitly told. The only things that could possibly ruin the illusion were any overrides to his internal systems. If something were to, say, interfere with the cameras that he had in his eyes, or cause some sort of a core reboot to his hard drive, or x-ray his metallic bones, then yeah, he would be exposed. But otherwise, to the outside world, he was just your typical, normal human boy. She worked down in the bowels of the Pizzaplex, giving him life, but it was one thing to build him, it was another to help him remember his identity. He died so young, so early in their history, that there was no preserved memories for him, no documentation that she could just download into his digital brain. So bit by bit, she trained him, forcing him to remember who he was. In a corner of the room, she even made a makeshift dinner table, a reminder of their happier days. The family recreated: 2 brothers, a sister, a father, and the mother at the head of the table. The one in charge,
I don't like
the
how
one
those
in
look.
command, the one bringing all of this to fruition. But his progress was admittedly slower than she would have liked. At first, he could only communicate through simple ones and zeros, then rudimentary drawings and crude letters. But bit by bit, images of his past life started to come through. Balloons, colors, houses, bears and faces, birthday parties, all for me. Gregory was alive.
Gregory, I didn't know he was a robot.
That she hadn't in decades. This was the joy that she'd been working towards. This was what it was all for. Her son, back in her arms again. The plan was working. She had to keep going. Next was William. If the family was truly going to be put together, she would need him. And she knew exactly where he was, in the ruins of that old Freddy Fazbear's pizza place where Henry had trapped him. In fact, that's specifically why she insisted on building the Pizzaplex there over the sinkhole. It was the best place to hide what her true intentions were with the entire operation. Digging through the wreckage, she found him. He was right where she thought he'd be. Seeing the putrid shell of the Springtrap suit, though, was not something she was prepared for. The rotting corpse of William Afton was disgusting. Scorched flesh fused into the fur lining, hollow black sockets where eyes once were, a smell that reeked of burned carbon and bloody iron. He was no longer flesh. It was just the tangled sinews of a creature that was once called human. How far this brilliant man had fallen. It was clear that her work was cut out for her on this one. Afton was practically lifeless. The man may not have been able to die, but he was about as close as you could come. And his body would need a lot of reconstruction. Replacement arms and endoskeleton reinforcements were the top priority. Maybe pulled from their new line of glam rock animatronics. She'd have to see if they had any spare Bonnie parts lying around that they could steal. In the meantime, though, she threw the husk that was once her husband into a life support pod infused with aerosolized remnant to help keep him stable. But more important than recovering his body was recovering his mind. In his current state, he was comatose, an empty shell. Severe brain damage starts at temperatures over 108 degrees Fahrenheit. 42 degrees Celsius, and years of repeated fires had burned his brain to goo. Gone was the brilliant, frustrating mind that had drawn her to him in the first place. But she had a plan. Unlike her darling boy Gregory, Afton had found ways to record his consciousness. Fundamentally, the brain is only a series of electrical connections after all, so why couldn't you replicate that in the form of a standard circuit board? In essence, you could create a digital consciousness. And one thing she knew about William, he was nothing if not cautious. A planner, someone who had backup plans to his backup plans. And sure enough, there it was, buried in piles of old animatronic CPUs, a record of Afton himself.
How would that live in all the rubble?
To test it.
Someone was definitely here during the night. It had to have been the client. I mean, they sent us that stuff in the first place with no explanation, told us to scan it, said it would expedite the process so we wouldn't need to program any pathfinding ourselves.
Unlike the other games that she'd paid to have made in the past, this one had a different purpose. This wasn't about PR, it was about getting William back up and running, spreading his virus to the masses.
You acknowledge that Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transference, real-world manifestations of digital characters.
She hired a new developer, Silver Parasol Games, to scan the boards and bring her husband into the system. And because of the immersive nature of VR, William's consciousness would be able to merge with the player, giving him a new body, a new agency. There was just one complication. Afton's hold wasn't as powerful as she had hoped. He wasn't able to gain complete control. The first trial run, Jeremy, was so desperate to escape from his grasp that he sliced his own face off with a paper shredder. Messy. Afton's followers were reluctant, to say the least. But it was the second attempt that looked like it had the potential to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Enter Vanessa. Mrs. Afton wanted a surrogate daughter. Her darling Elizabeth would have been a young woman at this point if she had lived. And Clara wanted someone who wasn't Elizabeth but could be just like her. Could she have just rebuilt her like Gregory? Sure, but she decided against it because she wanted an actual human mother mother-daughter connection. Well,
Yeah,
that,
therapy
and it
could
would be
probably help you
redundant
with
and
that, but
narratively
yeah.
unsatisfying to have 2 robot kids in the same family. What can she say? William had put a lot of tools on the table for her to use, and she was planning on using them all. Plus, Elizabeth had always been so loyal to Daddy. It was time to give her a second chance, a true choice. And Vanessa seemed to be the perfect candidate to fill the role.
Your dad's name was Bill? Your dad didn't play fair, did he? He used to make your mum look bad in court. He manipulated you. I know your mum after she lost the custody case. I was supposed to be a good girl.
She started as a QA tester at Silver Parasol Games, the VR game development company that was part of her plan to bring back William. But more importantly, Vanessa checked all the correct boxes. Right age,
eyeballs,
blonde, green eyes with a fondness for flowers and the outdoors. In many ways, it was her daughter all over again. Except it wasn't just looks and personality. What really mattered was Vanessa's mind. Underconfident, coming from a broken home, motherless, able to be manipulated.
Vanessa needs therapy too.
She would do nicely. She would be the one to save dear old Daddy, just as the real Elizabeth would have wanted.
I will make you proud, Daddy.
While testing the VR game, William's digital consciousness merged with Vanessa. Oh sure, she fought, fragmenting Afton's code into a series of tapes hidden across the game, trying to do web searches to regain control over her life, but it wasn't enough. She was weaker than Jeremy. She was a thrall that, despite occasional moments of
everybody needs therapy.
And with Vanessa, it was a 2-for-1 deal. She was getting a
What's
daughter
Henry
back,
up to?
while also bringing her husband one step closer to reactivation. She just had to make sure that Vanessa was headed the right way. The reborn Gregory was an expert hacker, part of the benefits of being an Afton and a robot. So Clara had him keeping tabs on Vanessa, hacking into her emails and trailing her therapy sessions to ensure the future Elizabeth was falling
Good
in
job
line.
on the
If any
therapy.
of the therapists started to ask too many questions, they were promptly dismissed from their positions. And while Gregory kept tabs on Vanessa's personal life, Mrs. Afton made sure to clear a path for her professionally. With Silver
Henry
Parasol's
hopefully just
collapse at the
passed
hands
of
the
old age
anomaly, She then
peacefully.
had the possessed Vanessa bring the contaminated circuit boards to DLZ shipping and the Fazbear Funtime service. More glitches, more Remnant, more Afton. But it was her last move that was the best. In a true masterpiece of poetry, she brought Vanessa over to be Chief Security Officer at the Pizzaplex. A true family tradition to don the hat and badge, and all it took was a recommendation from the top as well as some emails marked for deletion. Sure, Vanessa didn't have relevant experience for the job, but when it comes directly from the CEO, does it really matter? Husband, son, daughter. A corpse, a robot, a human. All that was left was Michael. Poor, troubled Michael. The boy that killed her youngest. The one that would spend years trying to make his guilty conscience right again. A self-professed protector. Well, she knew she needed him to complete the family. Something told her that the problem had already solved itself. Something had shifted when using Glamrock Freddy to excavate the buried pizza place.
I have been here before. I found myself for the first time when I cleared the path. I have changed. My friends are here, but I can protect you. I am not me.
Maybe it was the remnant that had coursed through Michael's veins. Maybe it was the spirit of Michael living on as a protector. But he was there, somewhere inside of Glamrock Freddy. She could feel it. And just like that, she'd won. She'd done it. Sure, there were still some kinks to work out, some final brainwashing of Vanessa, some rehabilitation of William, but they were there. Finally, all together again under one roof. The Aftons reunited. A happy ending.
Better viewer check.
That's how it could have ended. That's how it should have ended, had it not been for a few unanticipated developments. For one, something was just wrong with the Pizzaplex. Almost as if the entire building was haunted, possessed. Puppet plushies hiding on ceilings, behind crates, places that they had no earthly way of belonging. Staff bots with greasy tears down their eyes acting like they were being puppeteered by some sort of a nightmare. Even their sounds had the echo of nightmares long past. It was as though a guardian spirit of the past refused to move on. As long as her husband was around, it too would linger. Only now, it wasn't just in one body, but it was in the essence of the building itself. She had seen stories of houses built on burial grounds getting possessed by angry spirits, but she'd never assumed that it could be real. Then again, in a world of living spirit metal and mind-controlling glitches, who was she to be so judgmental? The whole thing was ridiculous. Why would this be the line that she refused to cross? After all, the Pizzaplex was built over the burial ground of angry spirits, but it was the power cords that finally convinced her that something was wrong. Suddenly, these cords were striped black and white, like the security puppet from generations ago. The very foundations of this place, the materials and wires that constituted it, were rebelling against her, against the Aftons, against the quest to bring them all together again. And it was being helped by something else, something slithering through the building.
A
Maybe
snake.
they were connected, she couldn't be sure, but a blob of living wires could be heard oozing through the walls, stealing
Oozing?
pieces and parts of the old animatronics showcased in Rockstar Row. She could only assume that it was a byproduct of all the remnant they'd been collecting. From Afton's testing, she knew that both light and dark remnant existed, one of positive emotions and the other created from anguish, anger, agony. Perhaps this thing was an amalgamation of all the darkest parts of the pizzeria's history, a collection of the hatred still housed inside these defunct endoskeletons and exosuits. As long as it was left alone, it seemed to be harmless. But if any Afton outside of Michael got too close, it would lash out wildly. Even young Gregory, looking to punish the family that had been complicit in its horrible creation. Little did she know, though, that Gregory should have been her biggest concern, that bringing the family together would have some unforeseen consequences. Gregory was normally the goodest of boys. She had literally built him that way. But lately, he'd been disappearing more and more often, disobeying her orders, requests. She knew that he loved playing on the arcade machines once the Pizzaplex closed, being so good as to top the leaderboard on practically all of them. But lately, he was nowhere to be found. She suspected his absence had to do with Glamrock Freddy's failed performance the other night, when he malfunctioned live on stage, almost as though the core programming of Freddy responded to seeing this rebuilt small boy. Almost like it awakened something inside of him. She'd have to make sure that Vanessa was on the lookout for him, but she'd soon come to learn that Vanessa wasn't enough. Whether it was the influence of the nightmare puppet or a reawakened hatred of animatronics seated deep in Gregory's code, something had caused him to rebel, to rip apart each animatronic in the Pizzaplex. Bit by bit, this boy was tearing down the empire that she'd so painstakingly built, freeing Vanessa from her mind control, destroying the remains of Afton in the basement, setting Glamrock Freddy loose. As her carefully created world crumbled around her one more time, she began to plot her revenge. She would have to bring them all to ruin.
Bro, you just spent so much time trying to
nearly
remake all that.
in the making, my FNAF timeline for where the franchise is here in 2023, the year of Fazbear Frights, by the way. As always, it wouldn't be right for me to finish without going over some of the more controversial takes that I just handed out. I think we can all agree that this part of the timeline was always going to be the hardest. So let me just break down some of the major points. First of all, the biggest swing of this episode, and obviously the one that everything else rests upon, Mrs. Afton being the CEO of Fazbear Entertainment LLC. Here's why I went with this route. Now, first and foremost, the head of Fazbear Entertainment is the single biggest mystery that we're meant to solve at this point in the lore. The Ultimate Guide brings it up repeatedly. Who's running the show? Who is okaying these decisions? And in the security breach memos, we get multiple mentions of someone manipulating things from the top down. Whoever this is, they are the person driving forward every other facet of late-stage FNAF lore here. They're the puppet master who's hiring the indie dev. They're the ones relaunching the brand, building the Pizzaplex over the burial ground. So everything at the end of the timeline relies on this one singular answer. Now, as I see it, there are two possibilities here. One, an adult robot Elizabeth, like we see older versions of robot kids in the fourth closet, or Mrs. Afton. Could it be someone completely new to the franchise? Absolutely yes, but in a game with so many returning faces and repeating themes, it would be pretty random and arbitrary. So, between these two girl bosses, who then would it be? Well, Elizabeth always wants to please her daddy, so she'd be most likely wanting to bring him to life. But then, what's Vanessa's role in all of this? Vanessa is clearly meant to be a parallel for Elizabeth. Same hair, same eyes, similar backstories, but if the main goal is getting the Afton family back together, which seems to clearly be the case in Security Breach, then there's no need for Vanessa to be involved at all. We already have Elizabeth running the show. It would also mean that we suddenly have two robot kids running around, which feels narratively repetitive and quite frankly kind of dumb. Now look at Mrs. Afton. We know next to nothing about her outside of any clues that we can get from Immortal and the Restless and Bellora's song. But what her being head of Fazbear does is make every other piece of the lore fit. Suddenly, you can have one of every other type of character. One robot kid in Gregory, one brainwashed human in Elizabeth/Vanessa, one OG corpse in William, and one possessed animatronic in Mike. Narratively, it makes everything else cleaner. Legally, it's also the option that makes the most sense. As I call out my narrative, she'd likely have some stake in the original company and all of its assets. So as Fazbear folds as a company, I suspect a lot of it would return back to her. But there was one clue that really sold me on this particular direction, and that was this right here, in the post Post-it room, the big lore central of Security Breach, a dinner table scene with the whole family, including the mother. And not only is she there, she is at the head of that table, the position of highest honor and responsibility. She is the one in charge, with William being relegated off to the side. That one scene shows that we have to include Mom in there somewhere, and the only place it makes sense for her to be is at the top. Now, there is one big dilemma with my interpretation of all this. The Ultimate Guide really seems to point out that the head of Fazbear doesn't want the glitch trap virus to spread. They call out one particular email in FNAF AR where the legal team calls a cease and desist to all action about scanning the circuit boards. And even in FNAF VR, we're told that the circuit boards get stolen back by the client, presumably once they realize what danger is on there, trying to stop glitch trap before he spreads and gets out of hand. Here's the problem with that though. If the head of Fazbear doesn't want Afton to rise again, why'd they restart the company in the first place? Why'd they build over the FNAF 6 pizzeria? Why'd they go through an elaborate cover-up to make the possessed Vanessa an important part of the company? Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It would be the most inconsistent series of actions ever, but I did want to call attention to it since it seems to be the route that the official guide is trying to steer us towards. Moving on to minor point number 1, the Five Nights at Freddy's games were made by the Rogue indie developer. Here's the thing, FNAF VR opens with this line.
That's why we have recreated many of these completely fictitious scenarios, lies that you've been fed over the last several years, into a hilarious VR game.
It's a hilarious VR game told to you by the indie developer, and since Help Wanted has direct recreations of FNAFs 1 through 3, it means the games must be part of the fabrications that this developer made up. Also, all of this is heavily implied in the story of the same name, Help Wanted and Tales of the Pizzaplex, hence FNAF 1 through 3, canon games within the lore of the series. Big swing number 2, the elephant, or ghost in the room, Charlie infecting the Pizzaplex. John from the channel FNAF has made some great findings about Charlie's influence over the Pizzaplex. The cables that looked like the striped arms of the puppet, the Nightmarion plushies that you find hidden across the Pizzaplex in weird places, the staff bots with creepy smiles and in your dreams written on the front. All of these things scream puppets. Plus, the puppet mask not having tears in the blob seems to imply that Charlie's spirit exists elsewhere. She is still in play, and she has an important role, especially in Gregory's Post-it room. The doors to the Post-it room in the game's code are called Charlie doors, and inside we see a bunch of lit up nightmare staff bot heads. Suspicious, to say the least. The channel ID Fantasy did a great theory looking at the Post-it notes, concluding that the crying child / Gregory isn't alone in this room, but rather might be communicating with someone. A spirit, Charlie. Charlie's spirit seems to have pulled a poltergeist. Instead
did they ever translate the binary? I'm sure they did.
Little details, foundational elements of the Pizzaplex. And this isn't the first time that we've seen this in the franchise either. We've seen spirits communicating with people through physical writing in the survival logbook. So we know that this is an established means of spirit communication within this franchise.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure if it was something interesting, they would have mentioned that by now.
Gregory go
haywire, it might have just been like him saying, hi, I've been born.
In recent FNAF history, Gregory as Patient 46, the evil robot mastermind. Now, I know when I first came out with this theory a year ago, people were mad. But here's the thing, you don't have to take my evidence points for it anymore. The recent Tales from the Pizzaplex story, GGY, basically goes and just outright proves it. In GGY, we find out about a boy named Gregory who's getting all the high scores in the Pizzaplex arcade machines. When therapists start to go missing, it's confirmed that GGY is the one that's working to bump him off. And when animatronics start getting corrupted by a mysterious glitch, GGY's letters are found inside the code. He even chooses the code name Dr. Rabbit, for crying out loud. But obviously, by the time of Security Breach, Gregory is working against Burn Trap, Vanessa, and the animatronics. Why? How? Well, it's not really clear. I tend to believe that something must have happened to cause him to either lose his memory or be reset in some way.
What other games
have
secrets?
Charlie talking to him in his post-it
I want to know
room.
more
Maybe he hit his head.
secrets.
Maybe it was the connection that he made with Mike on stage in Glamrock Freddy. Not exactly sure, and I don't think we have enough clues to solve any of it yet. But it makes sense from a story perspective why he'd start off evil on Afton's side and then switch to trying to destroy him and not knowing who he is in Security Breach. And with that, my friends, I'm wrapping this thing up. Congratulations, we are on page 40. 22,000 words of FNAF, baby. Practically just wrote myself a Tales of the Pizzaplex short story. Have I answered everything? No. Does everything fit cleanly? No. But does it feel like the best and most cohesive narrative for all these characters that addresses most of the evidence we're given? Yeah. For me, honestly, it really does. And let's be honest with ourselves, the DLC will probably come out later this year and prove me completely wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Then comes the movie, whatever. My descent into madness continues. But regardless, I am so proud of this. This was a massive undertaking, and I'm so proud of our...
It was pretty cool. I think we learned a lot today. Do you guys think we learned a lot today? I think we did. I think I'm well educated on all of FNAF. I'm very educated. I'm movie ready, I think. I understand who Mike is now. I just understand Purple. I understand Purple. You learned none? Really? I thought it was very, very educational. I've learned so much. I know everything. I've learned a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot. So let me just. Hi there. Hello there. Hello there. So, as you may have known, I did in fact say this is the last VOD stream. And that is because this is the last VOD stream. And if you don't know, next week, we're gonna be 2D. We're gonna have that happen. 2D. No more VOD, no more of this model. The model will still exist. I might use it sometimes here and there. But this is the last time we're using this model. And then VOD Taz is gone forever. Look at my freckles. You won't see these freckles again because 2D Taz does not have freckles, but this one does. So let's talk about that. Yeah. I'm gonna be a little bit more zoomed out. All right, like this. Yeah. Yep. Just like this. Okay. Hello there. So the debut, right? Thank you for the gibbies. So the debut. It's going to be on July 12th. It is going to start at 7 p.m. EST. We're going to have the debut. We're going to go over all the new stuff. There's going to be a nice little slideshow. Where, sorry, I made a mouth noise and I had to stop for a second. There's going to be a slideshow, and that slideshow is going to be me talking about myself. Because that's what you do in debuts. And I'll be like, what's it called? Just introducing myself for anyone who might be new, because I don't know what the turnout's going to be for the debut. There might be a lot of people there. There might not be very many people there. There might be lots of new people. There might just be, the community. So I'm going to just have a nice little slideshow introducing myself for people who may not know. And, maybe there are people in the community who have been watching for a while, but they don't know that much about me. So, it'll be fun. So the slideshow will have that, and then it'll have the credits, and it'll go over everybody who's made stuff and contributed to the debut. So it'll be lots of fun. And then at 8 p.m. on July 12th, so an hour after the debut starts, stop distracting me. You're distracting me a whole lot. Anyways, so at 8 p.m., an hour after we start, we'll have the crab game debut, and let's see, I will go over everybody who's in the debut, or not who's in the collab. So for our crab game collab, we have Aspen Frost, we have Astro Arts, we have Adam and Evelyn. Both of them I know. We have Chimera. We have Cryptic Cyric, who is my sibling. We have Fen say. I'm so good at talking. We have Lulu Uploaded. We have Maplebot. We have Mimsy May. We have Neon Purge. We have Okami Ren. We have Shinyu. We have Fishy Cat. We have Kira Mint. We have Lilac Bees. We have Rosie Laura. We have Soda Snap. We have Celestial Gale. We have Puzzle Child. So it's 20 of us in total. And for all I know, you can chat. Oh no. Well, welcome back. Yeah, that's the current lineup. We may have more people. We may not have more people. We shall see. If there's any oomphies and more mutuals that want in, then they can join. Yeah. So that'll be lots of fun. So that will be the July 12th. That's what we're doing on the 12th. And then on July 13th, we're going to have the Final Fantasy night, where it'll be a community night where anybody who wants to join can join us, as long as you have Final Fantasy and you have you're on the North American Data Center server, what we will be doing is we will be doing Puppet's Bunker Alliance Raid. So you need to have Final Fantasy, you need to be on the North American Data Center, and you need to have Puppet's Bunker, because if you don't, then you cannot join by default. But we'll be doing Puppet's Bunker, and we'll be doing a private meaning it's not going to be like Duty Finder, it's going to be a Party Finder. And what we will do is it's called PvP enabled Alliance Raid. And if you have never done one of those before, they're very fun. Essentially, you have a party finder and you fill it up with people and you do the Alliance Raid. And the goal is to clear the Alliance Raid while killing as many people as you can in the process. So if you're a tank, you could keep your tank stance off the entire time if you wanted. You don't have to keep your tank stance on if you don't want to. You could purposely put AoEs on people. We're doing Puppet's Bunker, which has a very famous PvP boss. We love the boss. It's like the second boss, yeah? Where you could point a laser and kill an entire party in one go if you wanted. So essentially, yeah, we'll be doing the Alliance Raid and we will be trying to do the raid while killing as many people as possible. It would be cool if we could like see who died the least, but there's no legal ways for me to do that. And I have, since this is streamed on Twitch, it has to be legal, you know how it is. But yeah, and the way that will work is the stream starts on July 13th at 8 p.m. EST, right? And then the stream will start and I'll show you guys the party finder. I'll give you guys, it'll be a private party finder at first, and I will give you guys the password to the party finder, and everybody who wants to join in will join in, and then after a certain amount of time passes, I will release the party finder to the public, and anyone who just sees it and wants to join, they can come and join, because there's no way I can fill an entire party finder with just me, Well, obviously with not just me, but with just my community and like my friends, because I'm sure that there are a lot of friends of mine who would like to join that maybe aren't really like a streamer enjoyer, who maybe don't watch the streams or anything, but they might like to join, So that's how that's gonna go. So essentially what you need to know is debut July 12th at 7 p.m. EST. Final Fantasy Night is July 13th at 8 p.m. EST. And that's a lot of stuff to keep track of, so I do not expect you to keep track of that. So, the best thing for you to do, if you want to remember to be part of these things, is to join the Discord. Always join the Discord. I do pings. I try to not be aggressive with my pings if I can help it. But !Discord will give you a Discord invite. And there will be pings for when I go live. And since I will be taking a break from now until the debut, the first 2 stream debuts you guys are going to get are going to be for the debut and the Final Fantasy Night, respectively. So, be sure to join that. Literally the next 2 streams, that's what those are. Because I'm going to be taking a break. Just because, it's good to take breaks every once in a while, and also, you gotta build hype up, It wouldn't be as special if I streamed with this model, and then the next day I'm like, okay, now it's 2D time, But yes, that's how things are gonna go. Join the Discord if you want to join the Discord. I just made a horrible mouth noise. It was quite bad. But yeah, that's how things are gonna go. Thank you guys for coming. Let's go find somebody to raid. Let's see. I'm looking at who's my fallen list. Who do I want to raid? How about Andu? I was listening to Andu's stream last night. They are so funny. Actually, they're so cool. Huge respect to them. We're gonna go raid them. They are doing room reviews right now. So, I'm gonna have us go raid Andu. There we go. Yeah, that's all, really. Thank you guys for stopping by. Be sure to join the Discord, follow my socials, blah, 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 blah. I'll see you guys later.